And it's something that's very, very sensitive to VTubers. And when I say, oh, your ice cream's being stinky, got you go, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Vanilla. I hope to see you on the next stream. So, it's a very sensitive topic to VTubers. And it's the actual cost of VTubing. And it is so sensitive that I legitimately, okay? I have a tier list. I did not mean for that to start up. So here's the thing. I actually have like a whole document that I'm going to be filling out, writing out. I got a calculator pulled up for all of this shit. It's going to get really, really crazy. The thing is I'm not going to immediately start off with talking about the models, okay? Because the models, that is way after a lot of shit. Also, Little Beast, man, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing today, hun? So what I'm going to do is I have 5 different tier lists here that I'm going to be having in a notepad. Just so you guys can actually see everything that I'm talking about. Now, the reason for the notepad, and why I'm actually going to move my camera over here so you guys can actually see stuff better, is because with all this stuff, which is where I'm in your new model process, exactly, Noel. I'm going to talk about character design too, but before I even talk about character design, I'm going to talk about the stuff that people don't normally think about with VTubing. So, with VTubing, there's going to be different tiers. I got 5 different tiers. There's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and then there's the VR tier. In each of these tiers, I'm going to be covering the actual costs, as well as anything else that might be involved. So, each cost is going to be broken down into the cost of the actual PC, any video game consoles, a streaming PC. You're right, Nos. I will get to that too. Choose what like card. So before we get into that, let me do that. Hey, Nos. So here's your 2 truths. You want to hear your later, Corpo. I'm not going to listen to it right now on stream because I am in the middle of a stream, but I will do it in like the community night tomorrow if you're there. So 2 truths, a lie. I have drank half of a gallon of water already. I have my knee brace on because my knee is still healing, and I have no trash on my desk. The question is, which is the lie? How do you keep a streamer suspense? Actually, never. I'll let you know. Oh my fucking god! Oh my fucking god! Can I get your VJ cap? No! And yes, the trash was unfortunately the lie. God damn it, I made it too easy. I made it too easy! Why did I make that too easy? Fuck. Clean my it's just a couple of Starburst wrappers. Okay. I just, it's just a couple of Starburst wrappers. Is that so wrong to have a couple of Starburst wrappers? Is that so wrong? That's a lie. It's just a couple. Like literally, if I turned on the webcam, you would see it's just a couple. It's 4. It's 4 Starburst wrappers. Okay. It's 4. What color are the wrappers? Well, you see, I got 3 of them. Or no, actually, no. Yeah, no. 3 of them are pink, and one of them is a dark maroon color. That's the fruit punch flavor. Also, Young Gamer, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing, hun? It's a pleasure to have you here. Clean the desk mat before I microwave a honey bun and throw it at my knee that's broke. That sounds like a tasty time. So, no, Nos. No! So, okay. So, what I'm going to be doing here with all of this stuff so that you guys can actually understand everything I'm talking about in regards to this stuff. So, I'm actually going to close out that particular one. We're going to use this particular screen because this one, hello, Game Squad Leader, a microwave honey bun is all I heard. I mean, hey, a microwave honey bun sounds absolutely fantastic. Do you know how good that actually sounds to eat? Like, do you guys actually know that actually kind of low-key sounds kind of tasty? Okay? So I'm going to just get this set up real quick so you guys can actually see all of this properly. So, what I'm going to be doing here is we're going to be talking about the actual cost. So the first thing to actually consider with being a VTuber, if you're really even considering it, first off, you're going to need a computer, okay? Now, grab a wet wipe, the booty you shit about to be fresh. Yo, what? So, okay, so here we go. So first thing we're going to need to figure out is a PC, right? Because you can't just be a VTuber and have, like, you know, just any old computer, right? Because for computing, like, you know, VTubing is very, 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 very demanding on a computer. Like, literally, just so I can I'm gonna pull this up so you guys can actually see this. If you actually look at the load on my GPU, VNyan is my main software. I don't know how well you guys can actually see what's actually going on over here, but in essence, for myself in particular, my VNyan takes up about 11% of my GPU. And for CPU, it takes up about 5%. So, you know, so they use their PC and Xbox Connect for a camera. Yep, that is a way to do it, and that's one of the things I will talk about when I get to the VR tier. So, no, Mom, it said it's my turn with the brain cell. Hey, yo. But the thing is, like, my build for my computer for particular, I have a AMD Ryzen 7 5800 processor. And look at how many, all the cores are being utilized right now. And then for my GPU, it's a 3060 Ti. And I'm using a decent chunk of that as well. So anyways, 2 truths and lie. Oh God. You completely dare to eat really spicy ketchup and your reward is a Coke Zero. I accidentally cut your brother with an envelope opener, or I reshaped my knuckles. I'm gonna say number one is the lie. So the very first thing I'm going to talk about with this is like with PCs. So for someone starting out as a VTuber, in all honesty, a PC is probably one of the most integral things to your build. Yes, there's a Hatsune Miku on my Opera GX. Congratulations. It was 2, I see. So if you were just like, you know, going with a PC, I would say this is in the tier 1 area. This is where you're going to probably go and you're going to do like a pre-built. So if you were going to go and let's say you want an HP computer, right? So you're probably going to go somewhere like HP, and you're probably going to go and get, you know, sorry, if you have no brain cells right now, I must commit arson. I mean, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. So you might either do this, you need that wallpaper, but instead of Miko and Sumiko, if I could do that, I would. So you might go with something like HP, or, yeah, it is absolutely cheaper to build one, isn't it, Agi? That's the thing. Is I'm talking about, like, you're someone that knows jack and shit about VTubing, right? So, like, for example, if you know nothing about VTubing, let's say you're just the average Joe Schmo getting into streaming, right? You may not think to build a computer. Because a lot of people, they might be starting out with a pre-built. So they probably started out with something like, you know, an HP Envy desktop right here, right? So this particular build, this particular computer, $800. It's got an i5 processor in it. It's got the 3050. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM. But if you don't do anything, the first step is not to buy a PC. You start by asking someone for info. I mean, yes. Yes, the first thing you do is ask someone for info. But here's the thing, though. Let's say you know, you're just interested in getting into it and you're asking people for info. Problem is that you need to have some sort of money to spend on stuff. So even if, like, you were to, like, go and do, like, PC part picker and someone told you to build your own PC, right? So the easiest way we're going to do this is I'm just going to go and we're going to look at a completed build, right? And I'm going to change the actual price down to something like $1,000, like $1,100, because that's going to be an average price for, like, a starting computer for streaming, right? And so if we actually look at the builds right here, for example, this particular build right here, it's a tower build, And this has an Intel Core i5, has a liquid cooling, has its case, has 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a terabyte solid state hard drive. Actually, it's got a total of 3 terabytes. You got yourself a 3060 Ti. You got yourself your tower case, and you got your power supply. So this is what this particular PC looks like. It's a pretty decent build for starting out. So if you're sitting there, your very first PC, if you're gonna be streaming, is probably gonna be around you're gonna need a budget of about $1,200 for a PC. Because with how demanding games are on a PC, you're gonna need it. You're gonna absolutely need. Hello, Zacatron. How you doing, Hud? It's a pleasure to have you here. Your old PC setup, desk PC monitor costs around 8K. Exactly. That's what I'm gonna be getting into, Satan. So let's say you're just starting out. You get a PC like this. It's like this one in particular. Though that, at least if you want a laptop. I mean, it depends on if you're going with a laptop, but we're not getting. That's in a different tier. So right here, this particular build ended up being a total of $912. And that's just to get you started. Like, if you were to go over to Steam and let's say then you're thinking, hey, what do I want to do? What kind of games do I want to stream? Well, that's where someone would probably go over here to Twitch. Oh God, let me mute myself so I don't have to hear myself talk. Ah! So then you go over to Twitch and you're thinking, well, I also, you might have just fell in love with you because she's a huge ass techie. I mean, I am a techie. So then let's say you go to Twitch and you're like, what kind of game do I want to do? What's trending? And most of the time, people, they tend to choose that they're going to do something like, maybe I'll do Super Mario RPG. Maybe I'll be a retro streamer. But more often than not, people go for, like, Dead by Daylight. They go for, like, Spider-Man. They go for Elden Ring. Now, already, like, if I do Elden Ring, this computer here that we were looking at can actually handle Elden Ring, believe it or not, and do streaming. However, that's about as much as it can handle. It can handle a 3D model, but, and maybe even a 2D model to some extent, but it's not going to get you, like, you're going to be very limited. You're not going to be sitting there being like, hey, let me do Lords of the Fallen. No, because, you know why? Because your computer is literally, you have a 1390 and 4080. I'm about to steal your 4080 from you, and you're going to give it to me because I absolutely need an upgrade. Anyway, I'm joking, though. I'm joking. But come and get it. Maybe I will. So, part of the problem is PC games are so demanding at this point that you're not going to be doing most of the new release games. The only way you're going to get away with it, you have a 4090? Do you have a spare one that I can use, please? Please, please? The only way you're going to get away with it is with like, you know, doing the most newest games is if you get yourself a PS5 or the newest Xbox. Tastes like chicken, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing, hun? It's a pleasure to have you here. So, you're literally, your best bet starting out, if you're going to be doing this, is to get yourself a computer, you know, like you have 5. Share the love, Corpo. Share the fucking love, brother. Please. So, like, for me personally, a lot of the games I've been doing lately, I've been doing on a PS5. Because my computer, it straight up, it can't handle Lords of the Fallen with me streaming at the same time. So, you would then need to add on at least $500 if you were going to have, like, some sort of game console. But then that does bring another question. How do you get the information over to your computer? And that's where you're going to need to get something like a capture card, right? So, honestly, the best bet that most people use is Elgato, because Elgato does tend to, you know, Elgato does tend to give you the best value. It's very easy and beginner friendly for people. It has its own software and stuff. So if anything, you know, Elgato is where to start. But that's gonna set you back about $180 for a capture card just to get yourself set up. Yes, Razer does have a capture card as well. but it's still about the similar price. People know Elgato's capture card a lot more than they know Razer. But yes, Razer does have their capture card, and it's something I was actually thinking about looking into and seeing how it actually looks itself. Because I'm sure that it would actually work out. Like, it looks like it would work better because it seems a bit more reliable, but it's a toss-up. You're going to be spending about $180 for a capture card. So, after all of that, you got yourself your PC, you got yourself like a game console, right? And you got yourself a capture card. So, at this point, you're now sitting there, and you're kind of there. You are absolutely almost there. Because now, you're missing one thing from your build. And do you know what that is? You heard the Razer capture card for personal experience. Elgato's better. Wait, okay, did you have the new one that Razer released? Or the old one? Nope, you don't need the model yet. You don't need the model yet because we still got one last thing. And that, Noel, here's the question. How are you going to talk? How are you going to chat with people? You know, you need a microphone. And so, here's the thing. The most common thing that people will go for is like a Blue Yeti. Now, here's the thing. Ever since Elgato went and got and purchased, or not Elgato, Logitech purchased it, the quality of Blue Yetis have been very hit or miss. But to give you an idea in your mind, a mic is looped into the cost of PC. I mean, that is true, but not everyone thinks about that. But let's say you decide to get yourself a Blue Yeti. This one, it's a condenser. It's okay. It's not gonna, like, you know, sound the best. It's definitely not gonna sound the best, but it's not gonna be the worst. Usually the Blue Yetis, though, like, you know, it's okay. It's okay. But you're gonna end up, like, or you can get a $25. So, a microphone will cost you anywhere from, like, you know, $25 upwards of, like, you know, $85 if you're just starting out. And plap, okay, Glenn, what? Good enough internet so Steam does not look like... I mean, that is true. And here's the thing. You could actually, if you're living alone or whatever, like, when I was living in Florida, I was streaming at 1080p on average internet. So, internet is not the worst thing. But for all of this, though, so far, we got a PC build, right? Now then, are you ready for the actual price of the PC? Are you guys actually ready? Also, hello, Rigby. How you doing, It's a pleasure to have you. It was the old one. Yeah, the new one I've heard is actually really good. So, we're not even to the model yet. But here is for your PC. Plus, you get something like the PlayStation console, right? Or an Xbox. Then you need a capture card, which is $180. And then you're going to need to get yourself a microphone, which will be anywhere from $25 so upwards of, you know, $85. So you've just gone for the actual, just the regular setup, right? Without any kind of, like, thinking about, like, this is just, like, a basic setup if you just wanted to play games with people without VTubing, right? Because this is already crazy. That's already $1,905, or throw in an extra, you know, an extra $50, and it becomes $1,955. And that's just for the PC setup, right? Now then, let's say you're getting into VTubing, right? As a result, now this is where it gets a bit weird. We're in tier 1 right now, right? So, tier 1, as you're sitting there trying to get into VTubing, this is where you're going to probably hop over to somewhere like Twitter. Or maybe you're not going to go to Twitter. Maybe you're going to go somewhere like VGen, because that's where a lot of artists have been going lately. Stand still pretty quickly.
Hey, you must stand still for me real quick and smile. I'd like to get a pic for Discord.
There you go. So let's say you go over here to VGen, right? And now you're going to need to get concept art. Now, granted, you're probably going to come up with your own concept. And now, at tier 1, maybe maybe you're gonna probably do it for free. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're not. But let's say you're not an artist for the sake of this. You need to go to someone. So you're gonna need to go and look up someone that's good at doing ref sheets, right? So you're going to scroll through, and ref sheets, it varies wildly from the artist to artist on who's actually doing all this stuff. Right now you have a document that has character information. You need to send that to someone to do a ref sheet. Exactly. So let's just say, like, you know, you see someone who actually has art like you like. So I'm just going to choose someone here real quick that like, you know, really catches my eye. And in all honesty, I think if I had to choose someone here real quick, I personally would say this person right here, Kiripon. You have some really nice artwork going on there, buddy. But here's the thing. $500 for character design and a reference sheet. $500. And that's for scans with everybody. Exactly. So here's the thing, though. This is for character design and a character sheet. So this isn't just like, you know, this is just if you want, you know, that. But yeah, if you're looking for the actual character design, I've seen people's prices go from anywhere from as low as $100, like actually no, 75 actually, all the way up to somewhere around 500. But for something like, you know, this tier, you're probably going to only want to spend maybe no more than 200. Does not mean you're not going to get bad or good quality, because there's a lot of people out there that will actually do it. Also, hello, Pokemoney. How you doing, hun? Pleasure to have you here. So the thing is that you're going to be spending anywhere from $75 to $200 potentially on a character design and ref sheet. And that's assuming you don't know how to do any kind of stuff. And there's a lot of bots. That's why people usually go somewhere like VGen. You know, for your model you paid $700. That's absolutely fair if you did that. Now, another option you could do, if you're not feeling that, what most people will actually do, and I'm actually gonna put the character design here in particular underneath the tier 2, because most of the time, you know, you've been gone for a hot minute, you just got off a float, what'd you miss out? We're talking currently about the cost of VTubing. So let's say, like, currently speaking, let's say you're just in tier 1, you don't have the money for this. So what someone's probably gonna do is they're gonna go to Etsy. Or Etsy's the first stop. So let's just say you want a custom VTuber, right? Because this is something that's been getting really popular. And so what you'll actually see is some people will just start off where they'll go and they'll just buy a pre-made model like this. So like someone might click on this particular one right here, and like, don't get me wrong, this looks fantastic, okay? But you are limited on the design, and if other people get it, you may actually be stuck being a lookalike, you know? So it's okay, but this is probably where most people are going to start. So they're probably going to go with this one in particular. You're going to spend anywhere from like 35 upwards of like, you know, 130 for a pre-made model. Also, Dynamo, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. So, as a result, this is just for a pre-made model. Now, maybe you don't want to go to Etsy. Maybe you don't trust Etsy. So then that's where someone's going to probably go somewhere like Booth. And Booth it's a website where you get, also thank you for the hydrate. Like the model in the arm. Oh, thank you. A lot of work was put into this model, so thank you. I really appreciate it. So if you're going to somewhere like Booth, this is going to be more for the VR chat side, but that doesn't stop people from actually using it for VTubing. You can find all sorts of Vroid models or VR chat models. There's all sorts of things that can happen. Can we DM each other? I mean, I guess if you really wanna. You're gonna go. Your ADHD is making you lose focus. It's okay, Razorblade. I'll see you on the next stream. It was a pleasure having you here. And also, Jesse, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing, hon? It's a pleasure to have you here. Expensive time-wise, too. Yep, time-wise. And that was the thing I was gonna get into. So, and you, Blanks, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing, hon? So let's say maybe. Oh, this is just hair. So let's just say you decide to do what frickin' Rose Doodle. Rose Doodle actually started out so stressed. Thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing, hon? So Rose Doodle actually started out with this kind of model, believe it or not. And this is like this right here. You see, it's 3,000 yen. That basically roughly converts into about $30, right? And it's a really, really easy way to start out. Now, in terms of that means that for a lot of people starting out, the cost of a model will be anywhere from $0 to $130. And you're probably wondering, wait, where are you getting the zero? And that's because what someone may actually do if they want to, they can go the route of Vroid. Now, Vroid a year or two ago was absolutely shit. Like, it just looked uncanny. It looked god-awful. Avidil, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing, hon? It's a pleasure to have you here. So, like, Vroid, it's near a $20 bill, and maybe a few cents exactly. So, like, for example, one of the things I was using for a tutorial series I was working on, I actually did this on stream, like, earlier in the year. And, it's near a $20 bill and, like, maybe a few cents fair, is you can use Vroid. And if you just do a little bit of work, you can actually, like, make something that looks like this. And it actually doesn't look bad, you know? So, and that's the thing, is, like, Vroid, again, it's not a bad place to start. And she's actually, like, this particular model, she's actually fully functional. She can actually move around. She can talk. You can put her into VR chat. And this costs absolutely nothing to do. It's free, and you can make a good avatar. You're exactly supersonic. It does have its limitations. So, like, if you wanted to make yourself, like, a thicker model, you're not going to do that. You can't make a thick you can't make yourself, like, have, like, really muscular builds. Because the model itself just doesn't allow it. Nos, I'm going to be doing that closer to the end of the stream, if that's okay. So that I can keep the flow going on with what we're talking about here. So... That's what your model in VR chat is super realistic. Yep, I know which model you're talking about, Corp. I know exactly which model you're talking about. But, like, yes, you can actually do that. So, like, for example, if I were to go to the body here, one of the things that you can actually do here with this is you can change your leg length, and you can actually change the waist width. So, like, for example, I can bump it up to 5. It's not gonna look good, okay? It's not gonna look good. There's definitely things you gotta do to actually make Vroid look like, decent. Like, the ass here, again, it doesn't look bad, but it's definitely not winning. You're gonna have to do some blender work if you want to make it look like custom. And again, that's the cost is not necessarily in money, it's in time and stuff. And again, let's say you're not good at texturing. Again, maybe you go somewhere like Booth, and let's say you want to have, like, a shirt, right? Or maybe, so let's say you want, or actually, better yet, let's search in a jacket. Your friendship body, even more so full body, fair enough. Booth addiction arc, let's go. So I'm just gonna type in jacket. And so, like, let's say you just wanted to go and you grab yourself a jacket, right? For Vroid. Now, Booth, it's going to vary on the price. Some of it's going to be free. Some of it's going to be, maybe it's like $1 or $2 at most. Also, hello, Shadow Phoenix. How you doing, hon? So let's just say you decided you wanted to, like, you wanted to grab, just something kind of cool. So you grab, like, say, this jacket right here. That looks really cool. I like this. Also, hello, Sneak. How you doing, hon? You're going to lather yourself up with Heinz ketchup, run down a back alley in London? I mean, okay then. So this is actually really nice because it actually has multiple layers to actually make it look even better. And this is only like, $200. It needs more pockets. It always needs more pockets. Or not $200. It's only like $2. It's like $1.50, right? And so you would put it in here, and as a result, your model's already good to go, and you haven't spent any money. Granted, yes, you're probably going to invest a couple of hours into this, because especially if you're trying to do like custom texture work and stuff. Like this model, I did all the custom texture work on the eyes as well as the hair. This outfit here is all a pre-made outfit in Vroid, but the point is there. How you doing, Alvanil? So the point is that like with this in particular, it does look good, and you can have this for a start. So Vtubing as a whole can actually be really cheap to start off, and that's why it's in tier 1, right? Now, let's say after that point, you just started out, you got your model. Now, you will probably be going to Etsy to look up something like, VTuber backgrounds. Because, you don't want to just sit there with in a stream and not have a background, You definitely want a background. So, you're going to probably have something like, like this. Usually goes about, like, $25. And these backgrounds are nice. Like, it's got a starting soon. It's got a BRB screen. Like, just to actually show you guys, starting soon, offline, be right back. Do you remember the factor in a webcam phone for tracking? I have not yet, because I'm actually getting to that, believe it or not. Because that, as much fun as it is, that's coming up, okay? So, you can factor in for an overlay. It can be anywhere from 0 to 25, like, $25, $30 for it to be pre-made, right? And that's like $0 if you decide to make it yourself for your overlays. Now at this point, you got your overlays, you got yourself a model at this point, you got yourself potentially a ref sheet. So at this point, you're gonna need either a phone or a webcam. Now for most people starting out, they're probably not gonna need to get a phone for this, because most people are probably gonna stick with webcam. You could go to Amazon. You can get yourself like a $20 webcam, okay? Like, you're not going to need anything fancy. Just something that can do at least 720p. And that's going to be like about $20 for a webcam. So as a result, you're going to sit there. Your background starting soon as a private Joe effects. I mean, that's really cool, Corpo. That is really cool. So, as a result now, VTubing at tier 1... if we calculate just the cost of VTubing, what we're going to have roughly is going to be anywhere from about $20, give or take, all the way up to, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this price? So the cost is anywhere from 20, and I'm going to give you the max, so we're going to put 130 plus, $30 plus, let's say you went for the ref sheet, so $200, $380, and that is your total cost for the VTubing side of things, right? That means in total, for you to actually get started, it'll cost you anywhere from $1,905 all the way up to... Also, I love how I made Chishiki break there for a second, because you guys never see that face on Chishiki. All the way up to, okay, hang on. So 1,925. So 1,905 plus 1,955, right? Wrong thing. So 1,955 plus 380 plus the 20. This is your total maximum cost just for starting out with streaming as a VTuber. And this isn't counting in the cost of games. This isn't counting up the cost of like anything else you might be considering. This is just the most absolute rock bottom cost. it's gonna cost you nearly like anywhere from $1,925 upwards of $2,400. That's for the first tier, okay? That's for the first tier. This is like, you just have nothing. You don't want to spend as much money. You're trying to be as cheap as possible. Now, think about that for a second. Think about how insane it is to drop that kind of money on that stuff. Is for your poor ass and your moth and your wallet. I mean, fair. Now, granted, this is calculating as if you never had a computer, you didn't have a game console to begin with. So this is all being calculated as if you had nothing. Like you literally had nothing on the street. Rent for the average apartment. How many bedrooms? Huh? My rent here is $825 a month, and that's me sitting here in a 2-bedroom. Matt the Tool, thank you for that stretch check. But that's the thing, is like how I live in Tennessee. That's how. And that was my stretch noise, Gamer. I make noises when I stretch. So, as a whole, you can imagine how absolutely ridiculous it is just to get into this completely from scratch. Now, you can actually sit there and you can actually get yourself a really decent, setup. Maybe you want to do retro. Doing retro can actually cut out some of the costs, like, getting a PS5. Because your computer will definitely handle, emulations. And if you have any retro old consoles, you can also do that. So there are ways to cut the costs down. And that's what that actually does. Also, hello, Wolf Galaxy. How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. So now, at this point, let's say, you got money, right? Because that was just tier 1. Tier 2 is going to get a hell of a lot more expensive, all right? Are you ready for this price jump? Because I don't think you're ready for this price jump. So, at tier 2, this is going to be where you're going to start considering other things. So, on tier 2, we're going to start off with, again, you're so excited because you have 13 followers on Twitch today. Hey, yo, that's so great to hear. I'm proud of you. Now, do any of these tiers work for poor people? Okay, so here's the thing, Gamer Squad. If you were to go into Vtubing and you already, let's say you're just sitting there. Hello, Feast, how you doing, Ed? We are talking about the actual cost of Vtubing. And by the way, Gamer, so with that question, do you already have a PC? Do you already have a game console? The answer is probably yes. You probably have both, right? So the cost for you... Okay, you got a PC. So the cost for you to VTube, it is potato. Okay, so... So the cost... Okay, the tier 2 is not in the $6,000 to $13,000 range. If you weren't poor before starting VTube, VTube will make you poor. Exactly. Exactly. So here's the thing. Yeah, like you can literally go get yourself like a $500. I did stretch, Corp. I mean, I'll stretch again. Here's the thing. Even with a potato PC, you could probably handle, like, doing some emulation. You could probably do some retro games and stuff. Yeah, VTubing can be free $99 if you already have a PC. What I was calculating is, like, if you were starting out and you didn't have the PC and everything, you can stream on your PC, you've done it, but can your PC handle a model in a game at the same time? Because you probably can't. You start out free $99, I mean, that's fair. So let's say we're going into tier 2. Now, tier 2, oh boy. So tier 2 is like, hey, let's bump up that price of a computer. Let's just say you have $2,000 to spend on a PC, right? Let's just say you're just starting out, you need to get yourself a computer. Now, we're going to raise up the price here. We're going to raise it up. We're going to make this price ridiculous. Laptops are a great option for a power price ratio. Exactly. And laptops get outdated very, very quickly. So now, we're just going to look and, here we go. Here we go right here. Here is this computer right here is going to be, is in total a 1.7K PC, right? Now, this right here, just to give you a view of this, right? It looks really good. Now, this particular PC, and here's an actual setup to show you everything that comes with this. Now, this includes the same CPU that I'm using. It includes fans. It's got yourself the motherboard. It gives you 32 gigabytes of RAM. You got at least 2 terabytes of storage, a 4070 GPU, the case, the power supply, and then some more fans. So, to give you an idea of just how expensive Tier 2 is going to be, if you're like going for like, a computer, you're going to be spending at least $1,500 plus on a PC. And that is literally just the PC right there, so that you can actually be able to stream, right? There is literally, you're build a fair share. I've worked on 3 different hardware ones. Yes. Now, that is literally just so you can actually do more things on your computer without needing the console, right? So, as a result, your game you don't need to worry about the cost of a game console. You only need to worry about the cost of a game console if you want some exclusive game like God of War or some shit like Ragnarok, or the Spider-Man game that's, exclusive or whatever for right now. But like, as a whole, your PC is already going to be expensive. But let's just say for this case, you're going to buy yourself a console, right? Just keeping the playing field rather level, which means you're going to still need a capture card, which is $180. Then you're going to need yourself a microphone. Now, the microphone at this tier, this is where it's going to get interesting, because your microphone is going to be, you're going to want something a bit more pricey, right? So your microphone cost is going to start anywhere from $85 up to, and this is where it's going to get difficult. Unmodded games work on your PC, but non-modded don't. I mean, that's fair. So let's say we go, I'm going to take you on a trip to Amazon, right? Now, I am going to hide the search bar so you guys don't see my actual name. So now for this, we're going to start off with like the Yeti there being like $85. However, at this point, now what if one has a gaming laptop? It can work, and I will get to that too. The audio setup really nice, 1K, exactly. So now, also Zach Hazer, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. So what I use currently, and this is actually not a bad microphone, the SM58, right? Now, the SM58 is an XLR microphone. It's a $99 microphone, right? So the microphone itself will be anywhere from $85 to $99 for the mic. Now, however, it's most likely fapping a yo. Now, here's where it gets better. Are you ready for this? You can't use an XLR mic in the traditional sense. Also, Panzer, yes, the SM58 is such a classic mic. It is so solid. You're also going to need yourself an XLR cable. So, XLR cable now gets added into the cost. How you doing, Zach? That's going to be, honestly, don't go with the Amazon Basic. It's absolutely shit. You're going to spend about, for this freaking thing alone, it's going to be, for a good cable, it's anywhere from $12 upwards of $20 for the XLR cable. So now it's already, I'm doing absolutely fantastic things. So now it's already gotten really, really complicated at this point, right? Now then, how do you connect it to your computer? You're going to need a sound mixer. You're going to need a digital sound mixer. Now, granted, the go-to choice was going to be the Go XLR, right? And the Rode Wireless Pro is not a bad option, actually. Rode actually makes some really good shit. Me dubbing 15K to stream. Oh, we're getting there, Fee. We're getting there. So, the Go XLR was the standard. However, it is since going to be outdated because of what's going on with it and Well, Windows isn't going to update it, and they're not giving any updates to their software. So, you're going to need something like a Scarlett Solo. It is a mixer that gets plugged into the computer. It'll be something like $89. Now, this is going to be for the sound mixer, you know, so $89, $90. We don't need to worry about anything too fancy, right? It is really good. This is going to be a really good quality to get you started out. And that's for the sound mixer. There are a couple other options, but they're kind of like iffy, and a lot of them are just USB, so I wouldn't recommend them. But that's like the setup with just the microphone. You have an old PreSonus audio box. Okay, you know what? Holy shit, that's old. Holy fuck. But so far, your microphone setup is now about, you know, $180 in total. You just got to the stream as a background noise as you're filling out paperwork. Fair enough, Game Squad. It's always great like that. So now you got yourself that. Now this is where it's going to get interesting, because at this point, you got your PC, you got yourself a console, a capture card, a microphone, your mixer. Now then, there's another thing. Let's say you're actually getting into VTubing and you need to have toggles on your model, right? Are you ready for your toggles on your microphone? In 2015, use an interface for voice acting. Exactly. So, this is where the Stream Deck comes in. Now, the Stream Deck is $150. And you're probably being like, why the hell do you want that? Now, here's the reason why you want a Stream Deck. Because as a VTuber, as you're getting yourself a Stream Deck, I'm actually going to pull it up over here. This literally gives you timers, buttons for your toggles. So, like, for example, if I use the Shocked Eye one, I forgot to rename it, it puts the Mario hat on my head. I have my folders for my common toggles, so you can actually see here, I got stuff for my hard eyes, for hand tracking, for the blue face shade, for crying. Like, it's basically a must-have for being a streamer because of the customizable buttons. One for booping Yumi, I mean, yes. You haven't given Yumi without her red and blue hair to sleep. Wait, what? But yeah, absolutely. Is this Fortnite? No, this is not Fortnite, unfortunately. So, you need Elgato. You need, like, the Stream Deck at this point for this kind of shit. I know it makes very little sense, but this is literally what you would need for your toggles. Technically, you could use your keyboard. You're really not going to want it, especially if you're playing a PC game. Trust me, it gets bad quickly. I've had the unfortunate way of learning that. Now then, let's say, now, this is where we're going to get into the webcam. Because at this point, this is where you might be considering something like, you can still use your $20 webcam if you want. Or the Rode mixers have buttons. Yep. I mean, it does. It does. But again, that's like a $400 piece of equipment, though, Razer. That's why it's not in tier 2. Now, with this, you can either go with the webcam for your webcam tracking, or the more popular choice if you're getting yourself blend shapes on your model is an iPhone. Now, an iPhone is going to be pretty, expensive for the face tracking. That's what I personally use. And this is actually going to be rough, but let's just, you're going to be spending about $400, give or take. Like, you can technically get yourself an iPhone 11, which does work. So you know what? What I'll actually do is I'll make it, $350 just as a fair one. Buying a 1K? No. So now, are you guys ready for us to add up the actual price of just having just the basic setup without the model itself? Because you're going to probably cry at this. It's me, Yumi. I dropped 1K. No, I didn't do that. So here we go. Are you ready for us to add this up? So let's say you got a $1,500 PC, $500 for the console, $180 for the capture card. Let's say you spent $85 on the microphone. Satoru Goji, thank you so much for the how you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. Then you're going to be spending about $12 on the Go XLR cable, or the XLR cable in general. Then you're going to be spending about $90 on your mixer, plus $150 for the Stream Deck, plus $20 for a webcam. Now, this is the basic cost right here, right? So that's $2,537. Hang on, but we're not done. Now we got to add on everything at its max price. So $500. Oh. All right, so now then, let us continue onwards with us crying at how expensive this is gonna get. So we got $1,500 plus the console, plus $180 for the capture card, plus the microphone, plus the XLR cable, plus the sound mixer, plus a Stream Deck, plus the iPhone. Your total cost is $2,889 for just the setup. And we're not talking about the actual model itself. That may not end up as anything gotta go into for the right reason. Exactly. No. The low end is 2.6K. The high end of this for tier 2 is 2.8K. And this is not even for the actual model itself. This is where we get into it. So we already have the ref sheet being anywhere from $75 to $200, right? This is where you're gonna start getting into stuff. So now then, you got yourself your ref sheet, right? Now you're here waiting for your sick girlfriend to wake up. Oh no, Blues Break. I hope your girlfriend feels better. So this is where it's gonna get even worse. Are you ready for this? Cause now this is where you're gonna cry. So now we can go with a Vroid model, right? Now, I'm just going to choose this person right here because they look like they're doing really good with it. Now, the Vroid commissions, I'm going to tell you this from personal experience. It's going to go anywhere from $100 to $200 for a 3D Vroid model, right? Now, let's say you're not going for Vroid. Let's say you're going for Live 2D, right? Oh, it's gonna get bad. So let's go with this person right here, right? About $2,000 in theory. I've seen artists go as low as $300. But, so, like, I'm just going to give you a baseline of anywhere from $300 to about 1.5K in this tier for 2D model art. Now, here's the problem, though. Instead of showing me my live 2D prices, hang on, it gets better, though. It gets so much better. Let's say you need rigging on the model. Guess what? The rigging is where it's gonna get real bad. Cause you're rigging, well, let's just say you're going with this person, right? So, rigging can be anywhere from $500. It can be anywhere from $500 upwards of 1.5K to have your 2D model rigged. Right? To learn how to make and rig those models and become rich. Exactly. So that's the thing. That's at the baseline of this shit, right? $500 for like half body. That's the thing. Is this not even considering if it's full body, half body, or like, 3/4 body? Because I've seen that before. It gets ridiculous. So now at that point, now you need overlays. Now overlays, again, you can still go with the pre-made stuff that you get off of, like, Etsy, and that's gonna be, something like, $30. Or you can go and commission someone for an overlay. So let's just say I need overlays, and I need to commission someone here for an overlay, right? Beware the hell. Exactly. So now, We're gonna just go with someone like, you know what? I'm just gonna choose this Razor person. They look kind of cool. I like this. It's actually very, very aesthetic. Are you ready for the price? So you're gonna need, where's their overlay? Come on. Come on. I need overlays, please. Okay, anyways, I think I'm gonna find the overlay at some point. Okay, this person was a terrible choice to look at because I can't find the overlays for the life of me. Okay, you don't necessarily need a logo, okay? We're not including a logo in tier 2. All right, we're going with this person here. That, surprisingly, his name's Sony. Okay, now an overlay. An overlay is going to be anywhere from about, like, you know, $30 if you go to Etsy and you got, I'm not a VTuber, I knew it was expensive, but damn, yeah. To anywhere upwards of, like, 200. And this is just for, like, you know, really, really basic stuff you're not going to worry too much about, right? And then emotes. Emotes are going to, again, it's going to probably run you about, if you want at least 5, you're going to probably be, again, looking anywhere from, like, you know, 50 to, you know, 150 for emotes at this point, right? Oh, for T3, oh, you got it in one bundle. Oh, fair. Absolutely fair. So, at this point, we got our overlays, our emotes. You got your model rigged. You got your model art, potentially a V-Roid model. Maybe you're getting both. You know? You don't use overlays. I mean, that's completely fair. That's the thing, is like with overlays, again, it can be anywhere from $0 to like $200 in that case. So at this point, you got basically everything you need for VTubing. And the cost of all of this stuff for VTubing at tier 2, as I'm gonna call it. Are you ready for the math? Because I don't even want to see the math right now. So we're gonna start off with the lowest price first. So it's gonna be $75 for a character ref sheet, character design, plus $100 for the 3D model, plus $300 for the model art, plus the $500 to get it rigged, plus, you know, $0 for the overlays, plus about $50 for emotes. That is, at most, if you're going completely custom, you paid about 7.3K for your entire setup. Jesus Christ, Corp. Holy shit. So, in total, this is not the most realistic number, but it gives you kind of an idea of a baseline for, like, this tier here. $1,025 at minimum to have everything custom made for this kind of tier. Now, let's say you're going for the most, like, let's see what the upper end of this actually is. That's going to be $1,500 for the model art, plus another $1,500 for it getting rigged, plus $200 for the overlays, $150 for the emotes. So, very quickly, it became $3,750 for just that. Now, if we combine the total cost of this tier, that means you're going to be spending about, adding on like all the stuff with the computer stuff, that is your starting expense at the most expensive side of this. To give you an idea, at the cheapest, which is at $2,537 plus the $1,025, is still less than your PC setup. I mean, fair. Like $3,562 to start out at tier 2. At 6K cheap. Okay, 6,000's at the higher end of the second tier. And this is at the low end of V2 with everything being at its highest cost at tier 2. So, no, that's not cheap. That's the thing, is this isn't cheap. That's the point here. So, to give you a comparison, to give you an actual comparison of how expensive it is, at tier 1, where you're being as cheap as possible, at the most expensive point at tier 1 is 2.3K. Tier 4 jumps from 2.3K up to 6.6K as the most expensive stuff. Now, at this point, oh, it's gonna get bad. Oh, it's gonna get so bad. Are you ready for this? Are you guys ready for the cost of tier 3? Because tier 3, this is why I'm going slowly with getting all your stuff, the tattoo. I'm glad you like it. So, oh, you're gonna cry. You guys are gonna cry so fucking much. Because tier 3, at this point, tier 3 and tier 2 doesn't even change it. Me with the Nanoless P model with Kevin rigging. Exactly. Exactly. So, with tier 3, we're gonna go back through all of this shit again, right? Because tier 3, you're being serious about this shit. You're gonna spend some moolah. You're gonna go for name brand people that have done this shit, you know? Or at least somewhat well known. You hear P model EO. So, to give you an idea, at this point, we're gonna be sticking with the $1,500 PC. This is where dual streaming comes into play. Are you ready for dual streaming? Now, dual streaming. All you gotta do for this at this point is you're gonna take your gaming PC at this point is your $1,500+ PC. Now then, guess what you're gonna add? I know that it's in the works. Do you think he's gonna buy me dinner before it's crazy over? Nope. Now at this point, if you're gonna get yourself a if you're gonna go for something like this, now with your dual streaming setup, one PC is dedicated entirely to streaming. That means OBS is over there, your model's over there, all of that shit's over there. Now, in all honesty, if you're gonna do this, let's be real here with the way the price of computers are nowadays. You're gonna need to get a computer from tier 1, right? You just bought a 10K PC? Jesus Christ, bro! Was it the one on my throne at the very least? So at this point, you're gonna need at least a baseline of like, you know, a $1,000 PC. I'm gonna take the one from tier 1 because that's a fantastic rig for streaming. So now you got yourself a gaming PC that's $1,500+. You got yourself a $1,200 streaming PC. Yes, but you put it on your wish list and bought it for yourself. You motherfucker. You motherfucker. Then you're going to need a streaming PC, which is going to be somewhere around $1,200. I have a laptop that's about $1,200 that I use for streaming. With my main computer that you're seeing me stream the stuff with this, what you see me doing right here with the completed builds, that's my computer, my gaming computer. Now then, we're going to just, you know, at this point, you don't need the console. You don't need the console, right? But I'm still going to include the console in this particular cost simply because there are some games that are exclusive. So we got our gaming PC, a streaming PC, a console. You got yourself your capture card. The microphone cost at this point, your microphone cost is going to go up. The baseline at this point is going to be something like, you know, where's my Amazon? So your microphone at this point is 7K. The gaming laptops, Jesus Christ. Your microphone's going to start out with the SM58. However, at this point, you're probably going to go and be looking at something like the SM7B, which is a massive $400, okay? This is where we're going to start separating into buku money at this point. So your microphone is going to be anywhere from $99 upwards of $400, okay? And then hang on, the XLR cable, the price stays the same. The sound mixer, on the other hand, this is where we're going to get into the price here, where you're probably going to go with something like the Rode Duo. It'll be the probably one of the cheapest options you can actually get that's actually of quality. Now, the Rode Duo, as you can see right there, is $500. So now you've gone from just like, being $90 for the mixer up to about $500. So $90 to $500 for the sound mixer. The Stream Deck is still there. Your cam tracking at this point, you're spending $350 for that iPhone. You want those blend shapes, okay? You want them. But however you go the live 2D route, your model is going to be about, you can still use a webcam at this point. What organs can I sell without dying it? So now, at this point, this tier, we've already calculated everything. Are you ready to watch your wallet cry? What's up, Corpo? What's up? What? I don't know what to guess. You might not need the Stream Deck, depending on how many buttons you want. Honestly, here's the thing, though. The Steam Deck, honestly, I would say you would kind of... Also, hello, Labe. How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. Never mind, you tell me tomorrow. I mean, okay, fair enough. So, we're going to just look at the total cost here. So, we got our $1,500 gaming PC. We're going to have our $1,200 streaming PC. Gonna have our $500 for the console, $180 for the capture card, $99 for the microphone, $12 for the XLR cable, $90 for the sound mixer, $150 for the Stream Deck, and then we got $20 for the cam tracking. Now, this is the lower end of this, okay? So that is now, what, $3,751, give or take, for how much this is going to cost. Corpo, I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to fucking guess, okay? So, that's the baseline there. Now, let's say we're going to make it really expensive. So, let's go and max out the numbers here. For $180, then we're going to go $400 for the microphone, $20, $500, $150, and then $350 for the iPhone. Now, this is without the VTubing stuff. I'll love you too. So this right here for tier 3, if you're like really serious about your setup and all this shit, never mind being a VTuber at this point. At this point, your actual gaming setup for this, your streaming setup as a whole, is going to be about $3,751, upwards of $4,800. And this is just to have a, the streaming setup, not the model itself. Now, at this point, this is where VTubing's prices start to get spiral really far out of control. Because you're going to want to have someone, but can it run Crysis? Yes, it can absolutely run Crysis. So now, at this point, you're not going to be looking at, just any person to do your stuff. Like, for example, you're going to be starting to want to go with, name brand people, right? You're going to want to go with people who actually doing your stuff is actually going to get you is actually going to get you viewership. This is where we're starting to get to, into the paid area, the uwu media. So now with VTubing, there's a new cost that needs to be added on at tier 3. That cost being debut, right? Now, debut stuff, I'm not even going to hold back. You're going to be spending about $500 at minimum, give or take. Also, Nuka Juicebox, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. So let's say you're going for, so let's see, let's say you need motion graphics, right? Jesus fucking Christ. So motion graphics is going to be, something like, you're going to go somewhere like Uwu Media, right? Because Uwu Media is a household name with this stuff. Also, hello, Daddy Whelp. How you doing, So, here's Uwu Media. Now, they do really, really ridiculous shit. It is absolutely crazy. So, we're going to look at them for their debut stuff. They have a package here. So, this right here, their package here is literally at a basis for all of your overlays and everything, right? Overlays, logo, animated scenes, stingers, alerts, panels, all of that shit, not the emotes, but just all of that stuff is $2,800. You know, $2,800. So your overlays at this point, you're looking anywhere from 1.5K upwards of the 2.8K for the overlays. Your emotes, yeah, exactly. Your new toggles debut, new emotes debut, exactly. Debut is so expensive. And if you need something like from Uwu, I'm not entirely sure what the cost is for actually going into a, like, you know, a debut video. But I've seen debut videos go from anywhere, as far as I'm aware, anywhere from 500 up to, like, you know, like, or actually, no, not even 500. Like, I've seen it go anywhere from, like, you know, 150 upwards of, like, you know, 800 for your debut video. And we're talking, like, you know, for example, the main video I'm going to pull up, it's from a friend of mine that because they're doing a whole 2.0 debut at this point. And this is their debut video. But that's the thing. At this point, you're starting to do that. Now, let's say you're going and you're getting your 2D model art, right? Now, for this tier 3, your model art, I'm sorry to say this, your base price for your model art is 1.5K. You're not sitting there and you're not spending $300 on you know, on a name brand thing, right? I know, but the debut video better. Is it, Corpo? Is it really, huh? So, what you're going to have to do then is you're actually, VGen at this point, VGen's not going to cut it. This is where you're going to go to Twitter and you're going to fucking find those people that are freaking good at their freaking job. So, in this particular case, your model art is going to be anywhere from like 1.5K upwards of even $3,000 for the artwork. For the fucking artwork. Like, for example, a person that someone's going to go to, like, in the tier 3 is going to be a Yoklesh, for example, right? If I could actually get here, we talking epic artworks and buy the card of Vtubing? Yes, basically. Now, I'm pulling up Yoklesh here very specifically because she is a household name. She's part of Yugen, right? So, hey, and please don't, I need to actually see if I can find her freaking, you know, her freaking commission stuff. Could take a lot longer, will? Yes. Yes, it could absolutely take a whole hell of a lot longer. Now, Yoklesh's artwork is literally in that, you know, in that 1.5K upwards of 3K. Now then, let's say you need freaking rigging. Again, your rigging at this point, just forget about $500. You're starting out at 1.5K. Now, there's a panel for comms under Twitch. That is true. You're right. So actually, let me pull that up real quick then, cause this right here with Yoklesh, because I do want to actually get the actual right price here. So credits, socials, commissions. Here we go. So if you're going to commissioning her, the full price head to toe is 1,400 euros. Okay? Just to give you an idea. So I'm going to actually update it for the art. It's anywhere between 1.5K to 2K. If you want, like, full body, and at this point, you're going for full body, okay? Now then, your rigging, same deal. It starts at, like, 1.5K, And it's gonna go all the way up. Yeah, that is just for art. You're right. Let me actually look at character design. $4,000. $4,000 for that shit. Like, I don't even have, like, you know. Whew. Yeah, character design is a cost too. Now, character design at this point, you're gonna be spending like anywhere from like 500 upwards of 4,000 on this shit. And the artwork, and that's just for the character design. Now, let's say you're going for the actual character artwork. Now, her price for the full body alone is 4,000. It's for 4,000, okay? If you want chibi, 2,000. And that's not even including the toggles. At this point, your artwork is going to be anywhere from 1.5K upwards of even 8K. Like upwards of like, you know, 6 to, you know what, I'm going to just actually put it like, you know, 7K. No, 6K. All right. Now then, your rigging. Your rigging, again, is going to be anywhere from 1.5K upwards of, again, 6.5K for this shit, right? So, and we're going to talk about Kevin. So, like, here, let me look at Kevin X, right? He has been pumping out shit, right? Just kill us and show you Kevin's prices. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, Kevin, again, name brand here, all right? So, let's say you want to commission him. You, base price for full body rigging, $2,400, right? Money were not an issue. Get a Kevin rig model. However, that includes a bunch of shit. Now, let's say you want expressions. $20 for each expression. $30 for emotes. Screen lip stuff, $65. It gets expensive. Extra outfit stuff. Holy fucking shit. Poses. Also, GTTF, thank you so much for joining, Brigade. How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. All of these different things, it adds up. And then on top of that, you got your VIP, which is a 50% increase on the price. But then on top of that, it gets even higher. Good lord, these prices, I know. So, like, if you're going for this, also, Alex Henry, thank you so much for joining the Brigade. How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. Found the Siren Echo on Twitch. Hey, yo. Don't know what that, oh, you did boobs. Nice. So, as a whole, Kevin, like, I know someone who recently spent about $6,500 on their rigging from Kevin. And it's good rigging. Now, your emotes on top of that, again, you're going to be spending like $500 on emotes at this point, right? I'm not even going to try. It's Google Tristan the Fox. Oh, okay, nice. Pleasure to have you here. So emotes, I'm just going to say right now, if you want to know an artist, $500. Anywhere from 500 upwards of like 1K. Now then, okay, here's the thing with the Twitch alerts. I already included that with the Uwu Media stuff fee. I already included all that stuff with the Uwu Media because the Uwu Media actually had the alerts, stingers, scenes, stuff like that. So it gets you a lot of shit already by default. Technically speaking, it could be upwards of 3,500 technically. Actually, let me go and update that up to 3,500. Okay? So, now then, are you ready? Are you ready for the price of this shit? The price! So the hollow balls are a little less, I mean, yes, I know they are also. But because they're name brand, the people can charge an arm and a leg for that shit. Now then, let's start off with the absolute cheapest part of the Vtubing side of this. $150 for the debut, $500 for a ref sheet character design, $100. Oh, I didn't even touch the 3D model yet, but hang on. We're gonna exclude the 3D model, and we're just gonna go with $1,500 for the 2D model, plus another $1,500 for the rigging, plus $1,500 for the overlays, plus $500 for the emotes. And that is a total cost of 5,000. 5,650. Now, I forgot to go over the 3D model stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, the 3D model stuff, for the price you're going to be looking at, you're looking at no less than at least, like, you know, $1,200. Like, we're literally talking about 1.2K for a 3D model at this point. Upwards of even 5K, right? So, we're just going to sit there. And at this point, let's just say you were going to do, you know, the 3D model on top of that. You know, at the base price, that's $6,850, right? So $6,850 if you were to, for the base price, if you got both the 2D and 3D model. Now then, let's say you're going for, at the maximum amount of cost for VTubing. So $800 for your debut, $4,000 for your ref sheet, $5,000 for a 3D model. Actually, no, I'm gonna include that last. So then we're gonna have $6,000 for the art, $6,500 for it to be rigged, plus your overlays being $3,500, plus $1,000 for emotes. Hang on now, but we didn't add in the 3D model yet. The 3D model, let's put in another 5,000. Now, here's the thing. That's just for VTubing, and that's assuming you already have your setup. Now, here's the problem. Are you ready to see how expensive this is going to get? Are you ready to see how expensive this is going to get with you buying everything you need to at this point? Because, okay, because this is going to get bad. This is going to get bad here. So, let's say you're buying yourself your streaming setup plus your model. Transportation, exactly. Now, at this point... Hi, Pootis, how you doing, hon? It's a pleasure to have you here. At this point, we're gonna get you your PC setup. So remember, your basic ass setup at this, you know. How much is Zen's model that she has now? I have no idea how much it is. I wish I knew how much it was. Plus, so at our least amount. At the least amount, it's $9,401. But if you want a 3D model on top of that, at that point, you need to add on another 1.2K. So we're gonna add on we're gonna add on 1,200. So now you're at 10,600 for the lowest. The lowest price. Now then, let's add in the highest size of things, right? That's $4,800 on top of that for your computer. So at this point, your total cost without the 3D model is gonna be literally $2,600. With the 3D model, however, we are now at $31,600 at this point. $31,600. I need you to think about that. You know? I know, 26,000. But now, oh, wait. How much did you... So, this is at tier 3, right? This is not like you're gonna just not do VTubing anymore. That startup cost is the cost of low income yearly salary. Okay, here's the thing, Ace of Spades. Here's the thing. This is at tier 3. Like, this is the, you know, this is, at this point, you're just getting into all this and you're getting like a completely new everything, right? So, as a whole, though, realistically speaking, I need to state this, that these numbers right here is if you were upgrading everything all at once. Also, hello to me who laughs. How you doing, Hud? It's a pleasure to have you here. As a whole, these prices are like if you actually got a lot of money and you're going into this hard, right? And this is tier 3. Tier 1, for example, would basically be free if you already have your computer set up and everything. It's like $0. However, even at tier 1, let's say if you don't have any kind of setup, yeah, tier 3 is a select few people. Now then, tier 4. Because there's tier 4. Yeah, there's tier 4. There's a tier 4. Now, tier 4... You can hear me sounding very, very quiet about tier 4, okay? Tier 4 is ridiculous. Tier 4 is the corpo area, and it's for a very, very select few of VTubers. Thank you for the hydration. Now, this is the most selective thing, so I'm going to do something different for tier 4 here. Is there tier 5? There's not a tier 5, but there is a separate tier that I'm going to be talking about. Now then, let's say you just have buku money at this point, right? At this point, we're just going to go with this right here. Now, this particular computer here is ridiculous. This is a $5,000 computer, right? Now, this has, to give you an idea, this has this has the best Intel CPU in it, has liquid cooling, has a really good motherboard, it has 48 gigabytes of RAM, okay? Like, we're talking about, like, 4 48 gigabyte RAM sticks. This has at least 2 terabytes of hard drive space. It's got a 4090 in it, plus a really good power supply. What's the cheapest car I can find? Like, you know, $9,000, something like that. So, your computer at this point, you're, like, yes, you can make it cheaper, but your computer's going to be $4,500 and up in terms of your gaming PC. Your streaming PC your streaming PC is gonna go up to like $1,500 so that you can handle, yeah, the 5K PC, I bet you do, Corpo. Your streaming PC, it's gonna probably be 5K because you're gonna need it dedicated to your model, to your OBS, all that stuff, right? The console, I'm still including the price of the console there. Your capture card at this point, same price. Your microphone at this point, this is where like microphone stuff really is kind of hit or miss. Most people will never go past the most people will not go past the SM7B, but that's gonna be like your one. You have all the consoles, but you're not wrong, you know? You're not wrong, okay? The cheapest card here, below. Wait, yo, really? Yeah, no, the SM7B is fine for most, right? And so, you're still, that's a $400 microphone at that point. At this point, you don't want to risk anything with your XLR cables. You're spending $20 on the XLR cable. Your sound mixer, at this point, again, $500 for the for that. If you're going for the Stream Deck, right? So, at this point, for the Stream Deck, you're not... Yeah, audio files that go further beyond. Exactly. With the Stream Deck at this point, you're going to probably go for the XL one if you can find it. Also, hello, Sergeant Spanner. Look at all these fools need to spend more than $2K for a good computer. You could just steal a PC. I mean, you're not wrong. How you doing, Salman? Hope you're doing good. So, at this point, your Stream Deck, you're going to probably want the one that has 32 buttons for all the toggles and stuff you're going to be doing. And that's going to be at least $400. Again, $400 for that shit, right? So, also, hello, Rydante. How you doing, hon? At this point, you're going for for you're gonna go for your cam tracking. You're not going for like, webcam at this point. You're going for webcam. You're getting those fucking blend shapes like I have. You're going for that shit. So at this point, there is no minimum cost, right? Your actual cost at tier 4 for like the beefiest setup you could possibly go for. You might go for the Procaster 2, which is 700. I mean, that is true. You might go for the Procaster 2, which is very, very true. So, in total, just for the PC setup alone, this is gonna be so fucking ridiculous. You're seeing at least 50K. Exactly. So, right here, 8,350 for the PC setup, okay? 8,350 for the PC setup at this point. My hand tracking, so I'm working on getting non-VR hand tracking. I use the index controllers for it, but I will actually be talking about that, Razor, because that's going to be the next thing I'm going to be talking about after this, since VR does play a role into all of this stuff, but I'm putting it in its own separate tier, because most VTubers don't actually use it. Now then, we're at 8.3K for just your streaming setup, right? Start embezzling funds. It's saying you could just steal 20K Dodge for nearly free, basically. Now then, your debut at this point. Now, going into debut stuff, you're not going to just be sitting there looking at VGen. You're not going to just look at Uwu Media and be like, yes, let me have all of this stuff, Uwu Media at this point, you're going to be going to Uwu Media specifically for the debut, right? And the debut announcement banner is already 150 for full body 3D tracking, and we're going to get there. We're going to get there, Noel, so hang on. Your debut at that point, people are going to easily spend about $2,000 on a debut at this level. Like, it's ridiculous. So again, who's offering these packages? I don't know. I don't know who's offering these packages. But I'm talking about the cost of VTubing, Putas. So, your debut, $2,000. And that's just for the video, like the 15-second video, give or take. Your ref sheet at this point, you're going to go with nothing but name brand. It's going to be like $4,000, okay? You're going like, this is like getting into corpo territory. Your 3D model, $5,000. Your 2D model art is going to easily start at $5K. And it can go upwards to where, like, Iron Mouse, she talked about how she had $10,000 on her model, right? To $10K for that model art. And so we're offering packages for this kind of thing. They would make so much. I mean, you're not wrong. The same thing applies for rigging. Your rigging of your model is literally going to be, again, anywhere from $5,000 upwards of freaking $10,000. Okay, you're gonna treat this like student loan debt and credit card debt. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong on this. So $5,000, $10,000 for it to be rigged. For your overlays at this point, again, name brand. We're gonna use the package from Uwu Media, which is $3,500. Your emotes at this point, you're gonna easily, at this point, you're a Twitch partner. You're spending like $1,000 easily. Now then, Tier 4 has been figured out very quickly for VTubing, for the VTubing side of things. Are you guys ready for this? So, your debut is $2,000. Your ref sheet character design, so we got $2,000 for your debut stuff alone. Your ref sheet, $4,000 character design on top of that. Your 2D model art, $5,000. Getting it rigged, $5,000. Your overlays, $3,500. Your emotes, $20,000, right? $20,000. And if you add in the 3D model, it becomes $25,000 at minimum. just to give you an idea of how expensive it is at this fucking tier. As a new VTuber, I don't have this kind of money. So Juniper, here's the thing. You don't need to worry about this, okay? You don't need to worry about this tier, right? Now then, let's calculate the entire cost of it at, at its most expensive, right? Oh, I accidentally did that wrong. Okay, there we go. So we're going to add on 10,000 for the 2D model, 10,000 to get it rigged, 3,500 for the overlays, 1,000 for your emotes. At this point, literally, your total cost on this without the 3D model is, again, 30.5K, but with the model, it becomes 35.5K. You do not need to go to this level, okay? Now, that's just for the VTubing thing. If we add everything, and I mean everything, into this, right? We don't hard this matters. When I was looking at 2K for the same full body track as my tracker, that'd be fair. So now I'm gonna just go and take our this is actually making me cringe and want to cry, okay? This makes me want to cringe and cry. Now then. No, this is like the 0.001% of VTubers are rising. So now 8,350 for the gaming setup. I'm sorry, did I tell you to type on the notepad? No. So 8,350 for the gaming setup alone, right? Plus the 20,500 means at minimum at this freaking tier, you are doing $2,850 or add on an extra 5,000 for the 3D model. At this point, you're going to have $33,850 at that point. Also, hello, Jade, what's up? Versus 8,350 plus the 30,500, which puts you up to literally an exorbitant amount of money at this point for 38,850, which is just, it's absolutely ridiculous at this point. And the only difference between this and, like, having the 3D model at this point is basically, now it's become $43,850. Now, I know you said you use Blender and whatnot, but do you draw my model? So my model, I do occasionally draw my model, but I never made my live 2D model. I'm not that good. So in total, at tier 4, you're literally looking at spending anywhere from about, $30,000 to upwards of $4,500 on all of this shit. And this is not at a tier that you could just totally, like, no one does this, right? Like, if you were to look on Twitch, the only people you're gonna see to break even before you make any real money, exactly. Yeah, 45,000. Yeah, not 100. You're right. So 45,000, like $45,850 is ridiculous. And that's the thing, is like the only people that can afford this is corporate VTubers or someone like the top of them. Hello, Humble Mac, how you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. Is either, corporate VTubers or people who actually exist, like, in that top 1%. So, like, people like Chibi Doki, people like Shy Lily, those are the people that can kind of afford that stuff. Like, fucking Bao, she did a freaking thing. There's a bunch of drama where she spent, like, almost 100 grand on an animation. Okay? This kind of money is absolutely ridiculous. And this is not meant to be like, hey, do I have to buy all this in one go? No, people are going to typically be upgrading over time. The problem is, like, you get to a certain point. How do they afford it? Okay, let me put it like this. If you have 250 viewers on average, you're gonna be making about 100 grand a year, okay? If you're trying to spend all this money on a new VTuber, you can still flop exactly Exactly. You could still flop with all of that kind of money. And here's the thing. This is not including other stuff, right? Like in terms of all of these costs here, yeah, she has 5.4K viewers. I see that right now. Yeah, no, literally start small. Just start off with a computer. Start off with, like, making your own model in, like, Vroid or something. Get a pre-made one from Etsy or some shit, Just do that. You're gonna be fine. VTubing doesn't have to be expensive, but it inherently is because of the fact that people spend so much money on this stuff. Start between tier 1 and tier 2 on this stuff. Like, because tier 1 is anywhere from being free upwards to, like, $2,355. Tier 2 is anywhere from, like, $0 again upwards of, like, being about, like, $3,000. So it's like, spend all this money and find out you hate streaming. Exactly. And here's the thing. There's things that are not included in this list. Like, what if you want to be an artist? What if you want to be an art VTuber and you want to exclusively say stream in the art category, right? Like, yeah, you do have to start small and grow. And that's the purpose of just telling you the cost of this shit. Because here's the thing. You look at the people over here and you see all of them doing all this artwork and stuff, right? Here's the thing about this. Doing all of this artwork, you're going to need a tablet. And drawing tablets are fucking expensive as hell. Like, for example, the Galmon drawing tablet that I have, thank you, Nano, by the way, for getting me it. I really appreciate it, is a $400 drawing tablet.
Did you go over what if one have a laptop? Because I think I just need the Stream Deck mic and webcam.
So that actually is a good question on that. Like, you did help chip into, you're right, Rising, you did, and I'm so sorry I forgot that, but also thank you. So here's the thing, with the laptop, yes, you can do it with the laptop. The problem is the laptop GPU is not as powerful as doing something like a desktop. If you use a laptop, you would need a console to stream most of the games, because the laptop's not going to handle your model, your OBS, all that stuff. It's just not going to do so well. And yes, Nano, I said you were, I thanked you for the drawing tablet you helped out with. But for something, like, if you're starting out as a streamer, as a VTuber on a laptop, your laptop is still going to be in that tier 1 where you're spending, like, about $1,200. To be honest, you have to have a true passion for stuff. You really gotta have true passion for this stuff. This isn't something you just sit there and you can easily get overnight, right? Like, this is not something you can just easily do. So with the laptop, yes, it is more accessible. It can be cheaper, but you're still gonna need the console. You're still gonna need the capture card, the microphone, all that stuff, because a laptop just does not have the power. I actually thought about trying to do that. I actually did a test at one point with the streaming laptop I have. Has a 3050 in it, by the way. But it can't even handle Elden Ring and OBS at the same time. Like, it can, but it's really, really bad. I put my model on there. It's not going to play nice. So you can do it with a laptop, but you're going to honestly need 2 laptops. In fact, my manager, Tessa, actually, I helped her with her streaming setup. She's using 2 laptops to actually do her streaming and everything. And it actually does work decently. It's not the best setup, but it does work. Yeah, realistically, you need to start small and get a laptop with something better, or just get a desktop. Get a desktop with a 3060, because you're going to be spending just as much money on a laptop as you are on a desktop. And that desktop is going to be upgradable, whereas a laptop is not. You don't want to buy a laptop for this stuff, because a laptop, it becomes obsolete after a year or 2. A desktop, on the other hand, oh, hey, my RAM got outdated, upgrade the RAM. My GPU got outdated, upgrade the GPU. A PC, a desktop computer, a dedicated computer is going to be infinitely more useful to yourself. Yeah, you could get yourself. It depends. You could get it for $800. You could get it for less. It just depends. It's a much better long-term investment in regards to all of this. Now, and like if you think about other costs, like additional costs you could throw into all of this stuff, 4K every year exactly. So like, let's say you're an artist. Now you can use a Gaomon tablet. The preferred tablet I know for artists is gonna be a Wacom tablet, right, for drawing. And this is very, very niching down into shit. Like, you're not gonna sit there, just start into artwork and all this stuff unless you really wanted to. Now with a Wacom, for example, you can do the whole thing where you do like eye coordination with like the Intuos. Yeah, $800 won't work for much. Exactly. So you can get to like this where you draw and you're just looking at the screen, not your hand. That Wacom is still a big name for them. I know, right? Or you could actually go for something like an actual, tablet that has a screen on it. And let me tell you, those screens.
I'm here to VTube and chew gum, and I'm all out of money to buy my streamer setup. Guess I'll just chew some gum and cry in a corner.
Yeah. So for this, like, you're looking at anywhere from like $400 upwards of like, you can see here 2.5K for the drawing stuff. It's ridiculous. The price of drawing tablets is ridiculous. And then let's say like, and this is just one kind of niche that I'm not covering. Another kind of niche that people really fucking love, and I mean really, really love, is fucking ASMR, right? And if you're doing like ASMR as a content, I've talked about this in my community. It is so goddamn ridiculous how expensive this is. Like, for ASMR, you'll be looking at that. You have a game laptop, so I know. Good idea. So with ASMR, let's say I wanted to do like, the gold standard for ASMR is the 3DIO microphones. And here's the problem. Yeah, this is where like audiophile. And the thing is, if you're going into this, you're looking at a microphone that costs $650, right? Now, I know of a way to get around this, and believe it or not, it's actually a fantastic loophole, actually. Go to Rode. Be a regular streamer, switch to VTubing. I mean, it's not a bad idea, Ace. It's really not a bad idea. That's actually, surprisingly enough, that's how Shy Lily started. She used to actually be a flesh tuber, and then became a VTuber. Now, if you are an audiophile, you probably know this. But you don't need the 3DIO, right? You don't need it. You can actually get away with getting something like, getting a microphone, like 2 microphones from Rode. I'm looking for the very specific one. Ah, here we go, right here. Oh, wait, no. No, not the right one. You need to finish design your VTuber. Exactly, and there is nothing wrong with that. So, where is it? Where is the microphone? There we go. Okay. So, this right here, these microphones right here, you can actually use these for ASMR and have a really high quality ASMR stream. It's $200. It gets you fantastic quality. You can adjust them to do ASMR. This is a fraction of the cost of the 3DIO microphones. Hello, Bagley. How you doing? I hope you're doing good. And this right here will actually get you started with ASMR and do really fucking good. And anyone that actually knows anything about audio would probably actually agree with this to an extent. Is it going to be like the 3DIO? No. Is it going to come close to it? Yes. Is it a fraction of the cost? Yeah. But, however, at that point, though, if you're going to go with that, you still need 2 XLR cables, and this is where the Rodecaster Duo comes in, because it has 2 XLR, it has 2 XLR ports on the back, which means you'll be able to do it. You need the mobility of the Wireless Pro there. And that is also an option as well, Razer. So that's kind of the whole thing here, is that in terms of the cost of all of this stuff, right? As you've seen, the cost gets really ridiculous. It's legal to throw punch someone who just started a rumor about you? No, it's not legal, but, I probably would look the other way and say, go for it, buddy. That's probably what I would say. Now then, out of all of this stuff, up until this point, right? We've talked about the cost of VTubing and all this stuff. And you can see why VTubing is a very sensitive subject when it comes to the cost. Why people don't like talking about it. As you start a regular streamer and decide you don't like it anymore, exactly, it does not cost nearly as much if you just start out as a flesh tuber, A's. So now, there is one other part. There's a separate tier that I do want to talk about. And this tier in particular, I want to talk about it because I myself personally am very experienced with this. And I know Razor's been waiting for this. The VR side of things, right? Because VR is very much still a part of the VTubing sphere, and it's becoming more and more accessible. Yes, PNG tubing is also a thing. However, it can be just as expensive for the artwork at the very least, but it is cheap. It is cheap, and that is true. It does get factored in that, between like the free upwards of, a couple $100, But we're going to start moving on here. You have a PNG tuber. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of really great PNG tubers out there. It is a very nice in-between step. So now we're going to be moving on to the next part of VTubing, a separate tier that I'm very knowledgeable in, and that's VR. Now, with VR, it's a rabbit hole. It's a fucking rabbit hole with how expensive it is, because if, at first, let's just put it like this. I watch her slowly walking away from it, and you wonder why. So the reason why a lot of content creators are walking away from VR in the first place is there just has not been any real advancements in the VR space. And so nothing's actually really being developed for it in a meaningful way. There's a whole thing called VR fatigue and everything with that stuff, and that's why it happens. But with VR, it is seeing some use in the VTubing community. It's more popular with VR chatters. In fact, I get categorized on YouTube as a VR chatter, believe it or not. But when it comes down to this with VR, there's tiers to VRing. I'm not gonna separate it all into VR tiers, but to give you an idea of what the actual cost of VR is, at first, we're going to start off with the PC, right? The PC itself, you're going to need at least a $1,200, or no, actually no. For VR, you're going to want at least a $1,500 PC. You're probably wondering why. If you're being a streamer, VR takes a heavy toll on your system. You cannot just sit there and have a run-of-the-mill computer to handle VR. Hello, Kitty Sugar Cube. How you doing? It's been a bit. So now you can get away with the 3060 Ti. You can get away with the 2060 Super. You could actually do that. Yeah, no, VR is so taxing on the system. So it's literally for someone that's being VR, if you want to solely focus on VR, your PC cost only needs to be between, $1,200 to, $2,500, depending on what you're doing in VR, right? It doesn't need to be that expensive. It's just to give you more headway. So instead of, doing something, crazy. So, if you got a $2,500 computer, just so you know, a $2,500 computer, it's gonna get you, I'm going to give you a price of a $2,500 computer. You're going to get a 3080. You can get into the 4000 series. You're going to get a good computer, right? You're not going to have an issue with getting a PC that can't handle that shit. So, you're going to have to replace your 1070 with a 2070. Yep. Jesus Christ! Hi, Raven! Hello! Welcome to the brigade! Welcome, Raiders! I'm Yumi, your local Neko Brigade leader, so please sit back and relax. It's my job to pleasure you, pleasure me with your presence!
Deadly Raven has raided the channel.
How is your stream, Deadly Raven? Can we give him a shout out real quick? Just so you guys know what we're talking about. We're talking about the cost of VTubing. You're playing Sound Mind? How is that? That actually sounds pretty interesting. So, we are also shouting counter. Thank you so much for joining the brigade. We are talking about the cost of VTubing right now. Great horror game. I have to check it out. I love my horror games. You wonder if she's getting married? No idea. And also, Moxie Bug, thank you so much for joining the brigade. Pleasure to have you here as well. So we talked about the different tiers of cost and how expensive VTubing can be. We're now moving on to the VR side of things. Talking about like how expensive VR can be if you're not prepared for that. Because there are people in here that want to get into VR. Spending money is scary. Well, just to give you a recap, VTubing can cost anywhere from being free upwards of being about $43,000, depending on what you're looking at doing. So with VR, hi Pain, how you doing? It's been a bit. Yeah, there is a huge range. Most VTubers actually fit within what I consider tier 1 and tier 2, maybe tier 3, where it costs anywhere from $0 upwards of about like, $7,000. You want to be a cute girl? Hey, you are a cute girl. You're thinking either Molly or Juicy is getting married next. I mean, fair. So with VR, you're going to need a PC that's about 1.2K to about 2.5K in terms of price, right? That's just to give you the headway because of how taxing it is, depending on how big the worlds are. Oh, take care, Dynamo. It was a pleasure having you here. I'll see you on the next stream. Or the community night if you're there in the Discord. So you need a pretty decent PC for VR, especially with how visually demanding some of the games can be. Now though, however, this is where it's gonna get very, very, very technical. So I hope you guys are in for a ride, right? So you have to ask yourself with VR, what is it you want to do, right? Because there's two different types of tracking. There is, that was weird. My model crashed there for a moment. What the fuck happened there? My model crashed for a moment. It's like, hey, you want to see a magic trick? No. Okay, so inside out and outside in tracking. The best way for me to explain this is inside out tracking. There's 3 different tracking. Wait, what's the third type of tracking? Moral of the story, VR is fucking expensive, but Arizona's cheap. I mean, yes, but we're going to get into VR stuff here, okay? So, if you're doing inside out tracking, right? You've heard of tarking and deciding not fair. Inside out tracking. What that is that's going to be your standalone headsets. So, the Quest 3, for example, is an absolute perfect example of inside out tracking, right? And sadly, VR can be broken into like 4 different tiers at this point too. So with this, your headset doesn't require you to actually have any kind of base stations. It needs nothing. It just needs itself. It uses cameras. And if you actually look at the image itself of the Quest headset, right? Oh. If you actually look at this image right here, you see this little black dot right here? That's one of the cameras. And what it does is it basically uses gyroscopes to actually maintain a rough idea of where you're positioned in your room while also having your play space drawn out. Now, problem with this is it is prone to drifting, which means even though you may be standing in the center of your room, they added a depth sensor too. Yes, they did add that to the Quest 3, which is really cool. Play your Magic Gallery, yo. So, like, the thing is with the Quest 3, or with the Quest in general, is with inside-out tracking, it is prone to having potential drift, meaning your center of your room may be considered the center, but as you're moving around, it's not going to be accurate to knowing where exactly you are. So you'll be slowly moving over to like the left, right, and forward or backwards, and eventually you'll have to recalibrate, right? It's just a thing that happens. And it's the same thing that happens with like Makopi, with Slime VR trackers to an extent, or really any other standalone headset. But it is also the cheapest. It is the cheapest of all of the things you can do in terms of VR related stuff. So your headset, regardless, like if you could get the Quest 2, I think the Quest 2 is still like about $350. So your headset's going to be anywhere from $350 to $500. Granted, yes, there is this right here with the Quest 3. Vive has its own standalone headset as well. And their standalone headset goes, which is this one right here. The Thopters are 1-1 flyers. Yes, I was thinking for the Hydrate Juniper. Now, this is their Vive XR Elite, which goes up to literally $1,099, right? That is literally $249 for the Quest. Okay, so it's $249 for the Quest 2, which is actually really not a bad deal. For this Vive right here, standalone headset, it's actually not a bad headset, but you don't have any kind of hand tracking. But it does work. There is also, if in all honesty, in my opinion, if you had to, not a bad option is the Focus here. The Vive Focus is actually not a bad idea for one reason. And that's because the $500 HP reverb, yes, again, but that's a different story, and we're going to get to that. The Vive Focus isn't a bad idea because you can actually put eye tracking on it. But Vive doesn't support hand tracking, and we'll get into that whole thing, you know, because this is where we're going to get, because we're just focusing on just, you know, the inside-out tracking, right? And this is where most people are going to be in the tier 1 of VR, right? So it's going to cost you anywhere from, like, you know, $250 to about $1,000. And that's why you're considering the Quest Pro. Right, the Quest Pro. I don't have any experience with this one personally. I've heard mixed results, but it is $1,000. It is $1,000, so it does still fit within that whole thing. So that's just for the headset alone. And if you're wanting your, you know, your trackers, right? It has face and eye tracking. Oh, I might need to pick that up at some point just to see how it works, because, you know, I want to have eye tracking and face tracking for VR, and I've been having a hard time getting that figured out. But that's another story. So, you know, it just doesn't do tongue. I mean, that's fair. Not many people know how to tongue me anyways. So, with the trackers, this is where we're going to get into something like Makopi. Makopi is your full body solution for Quest. It works for outside of VR as well, which is why I'm actually trying to, like, you know, save up money to get this so I can actually enhance my stream experience outside of that, you know. So, Makopi, you see it says $399. It's normally $450, right? Yeah, we really went deep on this. So, your full body tracking, or FBT as it's called in like, you know, the VR spaces, you got Makopi, but you also have, like you said, there is slime trackers. And slime trackers, they do work. They do have somewhat of a drifting issue, and they can actually be the best TED Talk ever. Hey, yo. Hi, I'm Yumi. Welcome to coming to my TED Talk. Now, slime trackers, again, these can go anywhere. It's okay, King of L. It's A-okay. So slime trackers, again, you can see here, $195 to upwards of $560. And that's just like, you know, it's a really, it actually makes a lot of sense. I was about the Pico 4, which is decent. Needs a few more apps to work with Steam, but it has a really good range of wireless. That's good to hear. If you have broke Switch controllers, they work too. Yes. Yes, they do. However, each slime, even then, though, Switch controllers are like $80 a piece. Like $80 for the pair, so getting like 4 of them is still $160. Compatible trackers, but the $560 for the full set, exactly. And that's the whole thing. Here's the problem. Slime costs just as much. I'm doing good, Dragon King. How you doing, hon? Savage by your friend. So, the thing is with slime is it could be upwards of 560, and at that point you can get 6-point tracking with outside in tracking, which I'll get into in a moment. So as a result of this, what was the pain? That is actually a really good question. So as a result, if you're just like looking to get started into the VR space, but that is if you have base station. Exactly. So also, how I'm doing good, or how are you doing, hun? So if you're just getting started in VR, you're most likely going to only spend about $250 to get into VR without worrying about full body tracking. Because honestly, this right here, full body tracking is completely optional, okay? You don't need it. You don't need full body tracking for VR unless you really want to. But at tier 1, your total cost of going into VR is going to be anywhere from, you know, $250 upwards of being about 1.5K, right? That's just the total cost of the most basic setup for VR. You're not streaming it necessarily. You're not trying to do anything. You just got your first year as a setup. I mean, you're not wrong, Archon. Think about full body tracking, at least the bottom tracking being tier 2. So, can you run more copies off of anything other than a smartphone? Unfortunately not. You do have to have a smartphone in order for Mokopi to work, because it works through Sony's way of tracking. I know that there is like a thing that turns like the Mokopi stuff into like slime trackers. I, however, do not know like if you can just connect it to your computer without having connected to your phone. I want to say it's possible you can, but I have to get my hands on Mokopi first before I can actually tell you more about them. Because I need to experiment with the Mokopi to really help you guys understand it. So, that's just tier 1. And unfortunately, you can get Mokopi, what Yumi said, requires a Linux system with Bluetooth. Ah. To the throne? I mean you're not wrong. Like, here I am going over here to throne real quick. Oh, you can do it with a virtual machine? Oh. Yeah, but that's extra, like, weight on your computer. And do you really want that extra, like, processing on your computer? I mean, it could work, but how well it works is a different story. But yeah, I guess technically you can do it without a phone then at that point. But yeah, you see, there it is. There's the Mokopi on my throne. Anyways, we're gonna go into tier 2 now for VR, right? Now, tier 2 is a bit weird, okay? And I don't really know how to explain this, because this is tier 2. So, tier 2 is where you're going to be getting into what's called outside-in tracking. And that is where you're going to be going into, if I can find it. I need to go back to Vive. So, tier 2 is where you're going to be going into outside-in tracking, and this is where you probably hear a lot of this talk of base station. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, don't buy the fucking base stations from Vive. It's literally cheaper on freaking Steam's own store. But basically, to give you an idea here, is the base stations, in essence, they shoot a bunch of lasers, right? These lasers hit these little areas on your headset that actually tells you where you are in relation to your physical space. And that actual kind of tracking is not only the most accurate form of tracking, it avoids drifting. And so, you should know, you like it, I mean, fair. Well, here's the thing, though. Yeah, it's a lidar, if you know what that is. However, I'm actually going to pull up Steam real quick, because Steam actually is the cheaper route. Yeah, you do. If you have like the 1.0s, they don't really work with with anything that uses 2.0. Now here's the thing. With this, over here on Valve, you can buy it for $150 for the base stations, right? Now, so I need to let the base station shoot you a bunch of times and survive the shots to use outside in, basically. That's basically what it is in a nutshell. Now, here's the problem with this. There is a lot of headsets that can use this. However, the main two you're going to be looking at is something like either the Vive Pro 2 or the Valve Index. There are different headsets, but if you're getting into this stuff, this is where you gotta really, really think about this. Now, if you get the actual set from Vive, you're actually gonna get 2 base stations, 2 Vive controllers, and the headset. How? Probably with the base stations, very limiting. Yeah, with base stations, the biggest problem is that you have to be in the viewpoint of the base stations, because if you're not, you don't have tracking at all. Yes, the controllers and your trackers, they do have like the 6 DOF, the 6 depths of field to help you, like, know where you are with rotation and everything. But it's not really gonna happen. Also, Hawk, thank you for the 100 biddies. It's not necessary VR, but Sammy's okay. Yes. You're welcome, Hawk. So part of the, and this is only a decision that if you put your hands behind your back. Yes. Yes, this system here is the only system that allows you to put your hands behind your back. With the inside-out tracking, because it relies on cameras, you put your hand behind your back, it doesn't know where the controller is. And that's the biggest issue there, But with this, you can put your hand behind your back, you can put it in your crotch. The Vive Pro is good. I have the Vive Pro 2, and I have an Index headset as a backup. Now, the Vive Pro 2, you don't have hand tracking. You do not have hand tracking at all. And that's a problem. Has no trackers for its controller? I mean, that's fair, Razer, but it's still that issue of, like, if you could even, like, use that, because that's why we're, like, talking about the actual base stations and stuff. So, in all honesty, from what I've seen, is a lot of people will actually focus, and I'm going to close this out because fuck you, Vroid. A lot of people actually focus in on the gold standard, which is the Valve Index kit, right? Yeah, those controllers are hell for Beat Saber. That's why I usually see people go for the Valve Index. Now, the Valve Index, it has a lot of quality control issues. My first headset broke because of that. It was direct connected for a while until you got the Index. Yeah. Now, the Index, however, it's got the same bundle as the Vive, but the Index for the headset itself, with the headset, the base stations and the controllers together is $1,000, right? Whereas if you look at the Vive Pro 2 full kit, is 1.4K. Now, the question is, what is it you're getting with this stuff, right? Now, you're actually getting, with the Vive Pro 2, you're getting a screen that can go up to like 5K or whatever in terms of resolution. It's kind of ridiculous. You don't really need it, but there is a drawback. How far streams go to entertain us viewers. I mean, as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters to me, because I like brightening people's day. Now, with the Vive Pro 2 here, the biggest problem is the microphone. That is its weakest point. Its microphone sounds awful, okay? It sounds god-awful. Like, we're talking like you're on an Xbox 360 microphone. Awful. It is terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So if you go with the Vive headset, can the mics be swapped with the headsets? No. No, it cannot. So with the Vive Pro 2 here, its microphone's terrible. However, the Index's microphone is fucking beautiful. It is so fucking gorgeous with the way it sounds. Like, You don't need a microphone with the Index, okay? But you will need, with the Vive, if you're streaming this stuff, you absolutely need an external microphone. Now, there are several options I have seen people go for with the microphones. Don't think about you buttoning it. Okay, no, I won't. Not unless you use your own headset. Yeah. So now, with microphones, there is options. I've usually seen for them with the microphones. Anytime I stream, you use Antillian. Yes! Yes, the Antillian microphones is what I was about to bring up, actually. Because the Antillian microphone, they actually, this one right here, there's the wireless one. And I know a lot of VR people that actually use the wireless one, right? You can use that. You can use, there's several different ones you can use. Mod mics for the win, yes. Mod mic is another one that you could also go with when it comes to this stuff. So mod mic right here, like, you know, the mod mic, yeah. You got this one right here. You got these over here. It's all really good microphones. And so your microphone, if you're using the Vive Pro, will go anywhere from $50 to about $140 with that stuff, right? However, in my case, I chose to go with something different, okay? I went with something way different. I'm sure you can guess where this is going. I chose to actually go with the Rode Wireless Go, right? Now, I don't have the one that has two microphones. I have the one that has one of them. And it of itself, like, yes, it's about $300. It's about $200 if you get the one that's, like, you know, by itself. So a microphone with the Vive Pro 2 gets that. No, it's not a sponsorship. And here's the thing. I'll actually turn on the Rode so you can actually hear what it sounds like. Give it one moment for me to turn it on. Okay, so my model was freaking out there. You guys probably couldn't hear the lavalier microphone. I have it turned off, but basically the Rode's microphone is actually really good. It's really high quality if you want to use it, and I would highly recommend that if you're going the Vive route. Now, at this point, again, you don't need to go into the when it comes down to it, at this point, again, at tier 2, also, hello, Nyastika, how you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. At this point, you probably don't need your full body trackers, but if you wanted them, right? If you wanted them, you kind of have two options. You have the Vive trackers. Also, Nyastika, thank you so much for joining the brigade. I really do hope you enjoy your time here. Now, these Vive trackers, $130 a piece. And if you're going to get them, for like 6-point body tracking, right? In order to do this, you're going to need 3 of them. So if you're getting them for $130 a piece times 3, that's $390. Now, alternatively, your other option is going to be to go with Tundra. Now, how's the little Rob? How you doing, hun? Started screaming. You said the price. Yes. Now, Tundra here is actually very interesting because it actually sports a much higher battery life. Like, we're talking like the Vive trackers on average, they last about 6.5 hours. So the Tundra trackers, they cost about $360, right? And they last about 10 hours. Versus the Vive trackers over here, they last about 6.5 hours, right? And then on top of that, also thank you for the hydrate. You'd be going with the Tundra. Well, here's the thing. I would suggest that too. Not only that, the Vive trackers have another massive issue too. And that's each of them, they come with their own separate USB dongle. Now, granted, over here on Tundra, you actually can get this dongle that they have on its own, and it can actually hook up to your Vive trackers, so you only need one dongle, which means one USB port. However, if you don't have that, if you're going for 6 body point tracking with your VR thing, you need at least 3 USB ports open for your Vive trackers. However, Tundra does also offer a bundle of 4 trackers, which is really, really nice. 10 point, that is going to be tier 3, Razor. That's where tier 3 and tier 4 is going to come into play. Now, Tundra trackers, 4 of them you get for 480. However, what that basically tells you right there is your cost is going to be about $360 to, about $500, give or take, to have your tracking at this point, right? Also, take care, Ace. It was a pleasure having you here. Now, yeah, that's a lot of USB space just needed for full body. That's why with Tundra, you only need one, okay? You only need one of their dongles for this. Now, excuse me. Now, there is a problem with all of this when it comes to the tracking. And, because you might be thinking, why not use Makopi? Why not just, buy yourself some Slime VR or use Makopi? Part of the problem with that is you don't want to mix different types of tracking. Because the last thing you want to do is have weird have inside-out tracking and outside-in tracking together. Because the drift alone may look really weird, it can be disorienting, and it can cause you issues. So, if you're going down the route of having outside-in tracking, you need to go with something like the Tundra trackers to help yourself. Yeah, they help you speak seamlessly. Exactly. So that's why you need, the outside-in tracking if you're doing something like the Vive or the Index headset. The space is another issue because you do need to have that. And on top of that, if you're thinking you can, cut costs by, being like, oh, well, I'm going to go over here to Steam and I'm going to buy myself the, just one base station. No. You need to go, you need at least 2 base stations for VR to work properly with this method. It is a lot like putting together PC parts. And you need to use some sort of continuous calibration, which requires an extra tracker. Exactly. So it's it just gets complicated. Now, part of the reason why the Index is also considered to be the gold standard when it comes to this stuff is because it offers the easiest way to have hand tracking. Because their controllers, their knuckles as they call them, have sensors that actually sense your fingers. It's not the best hand tracking. It's not all that great, but it does work, It does actually actively work. Yeah, but however, in total, for you being, getting into VR, having your hand tracking, your full body tracking and stuff, it's going to cost you anywhere from about $1,000 upwards of even as much as $2,000. Just have 6-point tracking, have yourself a really good setup. If you want the microphone on top of that, if you go with the Vive headset. Now then, there's a step beyond, right? Because with VR, depending on what you're doing, let's say you're going into, that's an upgrade for yourself from an already 1200 kit from Steam. Exactly. Now, in VR chat, it goes a bit further than that, right? Because with VR chat, you'll see a lot of people who do dancing, I know, I thought that too when I first saw them. You'll see a lot of people who do dancing streams. They'll be moving around a lot. And this is where 8 to 10 point tracking comes in, even 12 point tracking. However, at this point, there's also Chill Out VR. Yes, there is also Chill Out VR. However, VR chat is the one that is predominantly the biggest one. Now, if you were going to take everything you just did in tier 2, this is where things get a bit weird, okay? Because with tier 3, your headset's going to be about the same price. You're not going to be worrying about mouth tracking or eye tracking, really. Because it's not that essential. It's not that important to VR, right? What is essential at that point is if you're going for like the 10-point tracking. Now, what does 10-point tracking get you? Well, 6-point tracking, it gets you your waist tracker, it gets you your feet tracker or your ankle tracker, right? Now, on top of that, the 6-point also includes your headset and your controllers. But let's say you're going in for 8-point tracking. Now, 8-point tracking would be going for like your elbows, because in VR, the way the system works, it works off of your wrist is positioned in relation to your shoulder. It doesn't know how to calculate the elbow, so even if you were to try and like rest your head on the palm of your hand, you're gonna run into an issue where the palm of your hand will actually cause your elbow to raise up and be at shoulder height. So 8-point tracking is actually where most people would start to go into, like, that. And that's where you're probably going to buy at least 2 of these Tundra tracker bundles, right? Because it's where Slime VR is good for relatively short periods. Yes, exactly. Slime VR is still good for that. But at this point with Tundra, you'd buy 2 of these, which is $480, right? Now, 480 times 2 equals $960. Yes, that does get you, it gets you a lot, and I mean a lot of trackers. It gets you 8 trackers, plus the 3 you have just with the headset and the controllers. That's going to give you a total of 3 plus 8, 11-point tracking, basically, right? So, that helps. That does help. However, when you go above 6-point tracking, 2 base stations is not enough. At this point, you're going to want a 3rd base station. Mainly because of the fact that... Mainly because tracking gets a bit weird when you don't have... that, because of everything that has to be tracked. So this is where you're going to start wanting to get about 3 or 4 base stations. I have 3 base stations myself and haven't had any issues. Also, Hawks, thank you for the 100 biddies. I appreciate it. And each base station is $150.
Wait, there's more.
That's $150, which is literally, the same price as getting a freaking, Vive tracker. And that's something that sucks. It absolutely sucks that it's that expensive. So you could be spending anywhere from another $150 to $300 on base stations. But at this point, you have anywhere from 8 to 12-point tracking, right? So at this point, your cost just effectively went from having spent about, $2,000 upwards of about spending about 2.3K actually not even just 2.3K. You basically go from spending 960 plus the headset itself being about $1,000 plus the extra base stations. You're basically gonna spend roughly 2,000, about 2.5K on all of this stuff, plus the room you need for that stuff. Exactly. So that is where tier 3 is. Now, you may be wondering at this point, how do you get into tier 4 with VR content? How does it get even more expensive? And so this is where we get into the specialized tier of stuff. So let's say you want to have 12-point tracking. Well, you got your full body tracking already, which is already going to get you, $960. Your microphone at this point, you're probably going to go for $200, The cable management, oh god, the cable management is awful. It really gets awful, especially if it gets all, tangled up and stuff. It's god-awful. Your base stations, you're going to want, $300 for your base stations. But then, your headset. Now, your headset alone is going to cost you about $1,000. You missed a snom? Oh, no. Now, the reason why your headset costs that much is because it depends on what it is you're going for. Like, you go for something like this Metacrest Pro right here, that gives you the eye and mouth tracking. There's several headsets out there that do give you eye tracking on top of it. Hello, Kiriko. How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. There's a lot of headsets out there that do have. Also, Big Andy, thank you so much for joining again. It's a pleasure to have you here. Hope you're having a good day so far. Now, there's a lot of headsets out there that do have eye tracking. And Kiriko, thank you so much for joining again as well. Screen Beyond is so lightweight. Yes, it is. So you do have options like where you can go with the Vive. You can get something like the Focus 3, and then you could get their extension for putting stuff on. But let's say you don't want to go with the inside-out tracking. Your best bet, honestly, for something like that is like going and finding a specific type of headset. I don't remember the name of the headset in particular, but like we're gonna go on a little bit of a journey here. So we're gonna look for VR headset with eye tracking, right? Okay, there's a lot of them, okay? The Vario, yes! So the Vario is something I'm actually personally looking at. Remember the deck gear? I do. Now, this particular headset right here is something I've been looking at. Because it not only has eye tracking, it also has... like, it's used for, like, sim racing and everything. Butthole tracking, I mean, fair. Fair. But, like, this gives you all of the tracking you would need for eye tracking. So, there's a lot of options. You're spending about $1,000 on it. Now, if you want mouth tracking, currently, as far as I'm aware, other than, like, the Quest line of headsets, the only thing that I know of that actually has mouth tracking, you need nugget tracking, I mean fair, is the Vive facial tracker, right? So that's going to be another $130. And this particular tracker right here is for just tracking your mouth, right? That I have that. My model is not set up in VR with it because I forgot how to get it rigged up, and I'm trying to figure out get people to help me out with it. Or specifically one person because, they were the one that helped me the first time. Also, Low Ice Tiger, how you doing? A pleasure to have you here. So, you're going to need the mouth tracker, which, again, ridiculous that you even have to think about this in the first place, but in total, your VR setup at this point is getting very expensive. So now, we got their mouth tracker. You get your headset that has eye tracking. Yeah, someone made a mount for this thing. Yes, they made a mount for it. I actually have the mount for my Index to do that. The problem is setting it up in Unity because it is a fucking nightmare. Trust me on this. You don't want to try and set that up in Unity. It's scary. So at this point, you got yourself your headset. You probably got yourself a microphone. You got your 12 points of tracking, your mouth, your base station, and all that. However, there is more stuff you can go with, right? Now, I've been looking into some other things. I think this is the one I've been looking into. No. I also forgot to factor this in as part of the cost, which is basically your straps to actually strap on the trackers. And that's like another, like, $40, $50 depending on what you're doing. It's ridiculous. Trying to figure out where is it? The VR gloves I was looking at. Because I was looking at very specifically at strap-on. I mean, yes. Now, you were wanting... for people who don't want to use the index knuckle controllers, there is a solution I've been looking into. And I personally think it's a really good solution. And it, to me, if I find the right one... Where is it? I think it's this one. No, it is not this one. Not the, yeah, I know it looks like the power glove. It actually looks like the power glove. I think it's the sense glove. I think it's sense. I could be wrong. Yes. Yes, this looks right for the most part. So let's see if I can get it loaded up properly. No, this is not the right one. Shit. We don't talk about the power glove. Hey, let's talk about the power glove because I loved it. Maybe it was on my YouTube, actually, because I've been looking at... Why does it have claws? I don't know why it has claws. Also, I love how YouTube can't even load up properly. Holy shit, YouTube is having a fucking fit. That code is super for that glove? I mean, that's fair. Okay. Actually, maybe it was the Sense glove. Maybe it was. Yeah, give me a moment here to find the right glove here, because I've been, like, looking into so many of these things. Yeah, it's gotta be the Sense glove at this point. Like, you stopped using Opera for YouTube because of free it just broke. Yeah, Opera's been kind of breaking for a while. It's so weird. I wish I understood why it's been breaking. The time the animation company spent it. Okay, so I think... Alright, so... This may be the wrong website. Again, Jesus Christ, it is so hard to fucking find the glove in question. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go over, because I know I DM'd it. I know I DM'd it to one of my, my peeps. My peeps. I will never use peeps ever again, because that was god-awful to say. Holy shit. There we go. The contact glove. Okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, here we go. The contact glove. I'm actually looking into these in particular. One problem is with these gloves, you do need trackers. Taking your Easter food shit, I mean, you're not wrong. So now, what's nice about these gloves here, yes, you do need something like the Tundra trackers, or you're going to need something like the Vive trackers to actually get these to work effectively for you. However, these do give you hand tracking in VR without the index controller. And on top of that, they have a little add-on that I personally really like the add-on here. There's this button module thing, right? And it's really interesting the way all their stuff works. Like, they got button module, there's a let me see if I can actually find, because there's a very, very specific... You love my heart rate spikes when you talk about it? I mean, hey, it makes me excited, okay? The joystick module right here, okay. So what this does, the best way I can describe this, is you get the glove, right? You attach the joystick module onto, like, a little area, right? Now, this joystick module, it rests on your finger, and so... You actually get to use your finger, your thumb, to actually do the controlling of your movement in VR. So as a result, you get hand tracking, and you got the module that allows you to move around. So you don't really have to worry about that stuff, and it can emulate an index controller. So you can actually make you can actually do the gestures for, like, pressing buttons, and it actually does well. I've been looking into this for a bit, because it actually looks like it may be a really good solution for a replacement for hand tracking in VR. I still need to, get into it. I still need to get my hands on it to really test it. It is, however, $450 for this kind of, like, for these gloves. Now, on top of that, there is another thing. Be able to do a hand tracking outside of VR? No. Not really. You would have to have Steam VR turned on for it to actually work. Which is why also she's so excited she can't hide it. Exactly. I know, Hawks. Thank you for the 100 biddies. So, part of the problem...
She's so excited that she just can't hide it. Before
If
she
only it
knows
didn't need
it's
base
7
station, the
tiny
450.
apples.
Exactly. That is the problem, is that a lot of VR stuff requires base stations, which is what makes it difficult with all this stuff. And so as a result, it's not a bad option, but that's why we're talking about it in tier 4, because it's going full custom. Now, there is one other thing you can do too. And this is something that I'm working on as a personal project of my own. And it's the VR treadmill. Because the rig needs to match the gear too, basically. Now, here's the thing with this. The catwalk here. This is another thing I have on my throne. It's literally called the catwalk. I know what you're thinking here. It is a $360, or no, not $360. It's a 360-degree treadmill. Now, what this does is it basically acts like your joystick and actually allows you to walk in VR, and you can actually have it set up to have one-to-one movement with your stride. What that means is that if you wanted to be in VR chat and you wanted to actually sit there walking around and like your movement in the game actually matches your stride, it actually will allow you to do that. Fuck off, whoever you are. So, and this is something I'm looking at for doing my VR skits, like actually having action-packed ones. You would have already bought this running fun. Now, here's the thing. This thing alone is $1,200. You did research. As long as you're familiar with the software, you can build a treadmill like that. Yet you can. The biggest problem is I don't even know how expensive it would be to build your own treadmill. I feel like that would be difficult as hell. But I would totally get something like this. So, at this point, I'm just gonna put this like here for the this being freaking, you know, the treadmill, right? I know it's expensive, but it is so cool. It is so fucking cool, right? And that's kind of the whole thing here. Is I'm sitting here looking at this particular stuff. So at tier 4, if we were to add in all of this stuff all together, like the headset, the microphone, the 12 points of tracking, your mouth tracker, the gloves, and then the treadmill. At this point, it gets up to $3,000, right? Now, there is a step above this you can do with VR. I don't know anyone that actually goes into this side because there is more. And it is supported by VR chat. But, this is like the elusive tier 5, right? There is more. There is way more. So, let's talk mocap suits. Let's talk mocap suits. So, hi, I heard you want to replace all of your trackers for $2,000. You know, this, well, no. Rococo's mocapture suit here is $2,000, actually, believe it. Also, the Lars VT, thank you so much for joining, Brigade. How you doing, hon? It's a pleasure to have you here. How you doing, hon? So, $2,000 for this right here. Now, on top of that, they do have gloves. A really good mocap suit is $30K. Yes, it is. You are absolutely right about that. Is that a good mocap suit is going to be $30,000. You want the gloves? Might as well add on another, you know, you might as well add on another like $5,000 for the gloves. It's really ridiculous. Like, there's smart gloves here. I'm going to pull them up real quick. Okay, these are 1.5K. Also kind of look ridiculous in all honesty. But, to be fair though, yeah. Like, to be fair though, this is like going into like tier 5 if you had to. Which is mocapture. So the mocap literally can run anywhere from, again, 3K upwards, like you said, of 30K. And no, the actual use case for this kind of level of motion capture is ridiculous. Also, what's the real question? Is there a tier 6? No, there's not a tier 6. There is not a tier 6. So, just to give you an idea of all of this stuff, right? VR alone can be anywhere from like, you know, you're gonna have to sit there and you're gonna have to get yourself a PC. But VR alone is at least a almost like $3,000 expense. There is nothing that you can realistically do. It's because of the VR. I mean, yeah. Did I just see a mocap gloves can cost 1.5K? Yes, need food. It can cost upwards of 1.5K for a mocap suit and for the gloves alone. There is no top end for VR setups. No, there really isn't. So, like, let's take for example, if I were to go and then put all of this together. What does this all mean? VTubing is expensive. VR is expensive. You do not get into what requires this for a daily streamer. There's only one streamer I can think of that requires this, and their name is Kodamiko. But no regular streamer would need this. We'd all be afraid of a tiered 6 because the computing power would be ridiculous. Yeah, no, you're right. And that's the thing, is as a whole, for the regular average streamer, you're only going to need your Tundra trackers. You're going to just need your headset, and that's it. Had a mocap suit, had a mocap bra. No, that's not how that works. So, as a whole, you can see how expensive this is. Like, literally, at its most expensive, like, if I were to do something, like, let's say I was in V Shoujo, right? And I went up to tier 5 of VTubing, tier 5 of freaking, VR stuff. HoloLens is working with Sony for their remote copy. I did hear about that. I'm actually excited for that. In total, you could easily spend over 60 grand on VTubing with VR included in that if you went with, like, the mocap suit. The price escalates so much that full body suit for Ready Player One, it technically kind of exists, not in the way we would expect it to be. Now, however, after all of this, I'm sure you guys are probably wondering, how much does my setup cost? Right? How much does Yumi setup cost for her VTubing? Right? And, well, I'll actually go ahead and we'll figure it out. How does that sound? Because right now, I have my computer, $50 to plate of nuggies. Do I use an iPhone? Yes, I do use an iPhone. So, the first thing we're going to work at, know that those prices so much because you got all the top tier. I actually don't have the top tier. So, first off, we're going to go to PC Part Picker, right? Because I'm going to actually sit here. We're going to build my computer that I have. And you're going to see just how expensive it is. So, my CPU, as I was saying, I have the Ryzen 7. So hang on, let me pull up this right here. So I have the Ryzen 7 5800X. So Ryzen 7 5800X, right? That is a $200 CPU. My cooler, on the other hand, is a deep cool cooler that is water cooling, and it is very specifically their 360 meter one. Thank you, Floofy, for that. My motherboard is the B450 Tomahawk Max right here. Now, you see they don't have a price on there. Now, we got RAM. Me with your 1K notebook, like, yeah, I ain't that rich. Now, my RAM, on the other hand, is the Corsair Vengeance. Is it the Vengeance? Yeah, it's the Vengeance. However, it is the 32 gigabyte kit, right? Now, my storage, this is where it's going to get a bit weird. I have, what is the name of it? I can't remember the name of my, my hard drive. But to give you an idea, I do have the, I have a 5 terabyte, or no, I have a 12 terabyte NAS hard drive, right? Now, This is my hard drive I have in there, $250. Now then, on top of that, we also have a Toshiba. We have a 1 terabyte hard drive in there. And this one particular hard drive is basically this right here. Then we do have an additional 1 terabyte hard drive. And it's a Crucial hard drive, right? So let me see if I can type this out. Now, my Crucial right here, it's this one right here. So far, I got a crap ton of storage. Now, our GPU is a 3060 Ti. However, it is the MSI 3060 Ti. So I need to go type in MSI. I need to actually find the right one that actually has a price on it. Okay, we're gonna find it. You know, we're just gonna go with this right here, right? So there we go. We got our MSI. Our case is, again, it's a deep cool case. Mine in particular, if I remember correctly, I think it is the CK560. All right, and your storage is a weakness of yours. That makes absolute sense that it could be. Also, chat, please donate blood. Well, thank you for being here. How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, my power supply is an MSI one. It does 850. It's an 851. It's $115. So, operating system, I'm unfortunately using Windows 11. And last but not least, my monitors are Asus monitors. They are 24 inches. They were each $189. Okay? So, these are my 2 monitors here. As a whole, even though it doesn't have the price here, I can tell you the price of this when I personally got it. The GPU itself was about $600, right? And then my motherboard was a literal $90 motherboard. So in total, if you include all of the prices for my setup here, my PC, my gaming rig, is a 2.1K setup. My streaming, you use a 50-inch TV. I mean, I did that when I first started out, believe it or not. Also, wait, who? Noel, you're going to bed? I'll sleep well, Noel. Now then, for my streaming computer, I am using a laptop. The laptop in question is an HP Victus laptop. So if I pull it up, I'm going to pull it up real quick for you guys so we have everything here, because I'm going to price this out as accurate as possible. So give or take, if I can find it, assuming I can find it. All right, so here's this one. I think this is roughly what i5. Okay, yeah, that's 4050. That's not the... Okay, its price is 1.1K. You probably should go to sleep. So, 1.1K for the laptop I have. Now then, I also have my drawing tablet. My drawing tablet is a Gaomon tablet. What time do I do the community streams? Usually it's at 4 o'clock on Sundays, Juniper. Also, baby, thank you so much for joining. Brigade, how you doing? It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, my Gaomon tablet that I'm using in particular is the PD2200. It is normally $450. So far, not saying that EP approaches. I gotcha. So far, you're doing good. I'm glad to hear it. So far, my gaming rig is, 2.1K, 1.1K for the streaming. The drawing tablet's 450. Now, going beyond this, we're going to go to Amazon now for my phone, because I have specifically an iPhone 13 that I am using for tracking. Now, an iPhone 13 brand new is $500. So my camera is $513. Now, my microphone, you already saw the mic. It was a SM58, $99. The XLR cable is about $16 for myself, right? Now then, what do I have it connected to? I have it connected to a Go XLR Mini. So, pulling this up, the Go XLR Mini goes for about $230. So, we're going to put that in real quick. Now, as a whole, when it comes down to anything else that I might have, we have the PS5. The consoles, if I were to include the consoles in total, I have about $1,000 worth of consoles. No, actually, it's closer because I got the PS5, the Switch, a Wii U. Like, let's just say my consoles are about 1.5K in total. Because the PS3 is actually pretty cheap these days. It was literally like $60. So far, this is just the setup. Now, I have 3 base stations, right? And as you recall, each base station was $150. Enjoy your stupid over rig custom built in DM. Ayo, sleep well, Hawk. It was a pleasure having you here. Hope to see you on the creator on the next stream. So now, I have 3 base stations, which is $450. I have 3 Vive trackers, which is, each of them being at $150. So my full body tracking is $450. Now, I have the Vive headset, which is $800 alone. So headset is $800. I have these Steam controllers, and if you remember the cost of the Steam controllers, that is, the controllers are $280. Now, if you thought that wasn't enough, my actual straps that I personally am using are about, for the straps, are about $50. I'm using an HD 60S Plus from Elgato for my capture card. Now, that capture card is, again, it's about $180. So then, I have the Stream Deck on top of that. So the Stream Deck, we saw that it was $150. So Stream Deck being $150. Actually, let me double check that, because I actually want to be I would. Oh no, it's no, it's not 400. It is. Where is the Stream Deck? Yeah, it's 150. Okay, I was right. So I'll be around 3 p.m. my time. Hey, yo, nice. So as a whole, that's my basic setup right there. Now, if I include the Vtubing stuff, my model was $0, right? So we have a $0 model. My backgrounds, I did get the backgrounds from Etsy. So in total for the overlays and stuff, it costed me in total about $60. In terms of anything else, also sleep well, Juniper. It was a pleasure having you here. So in total, that is the entire cost of my setup. So now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to calculate the price here. So $2,100 for the gaming rig, plus the $1,100 for the streaming rig, plus $450 for the drawing tablet. For the camera, it's $513, plus the microphone, plus the XLR cable, plus the mixer, which is $230. The amount of consoles I have, $1,500, plus the trackers being $450, plus the headset, the actual controllers themselves, the straps, the capture card, and the Stream Deck, with a total of the overlay being a total of $7,978. Hello, Chimp Blimp. How you doing? And it's a pleasure to have you here. Hope you're having a good day so far. So yes, that is the total cost of my current setup at the moment, is $7.8K. And if you remember from our tier list, that would put me around tier 3 being, actually no, it actually puts me out, it puts me in almost in tier 3, being around like $5,000 to $21,000. And this doesn't include the time it took to learn this stuff. It doesn't include the time to learn Unity, Blender, V-Roid, how to do mixing, all the OBS, all the setup, everything. It's crazy how much time actually goes into this stuff. And, you know, I know for a lot of people, they would probably be sitting here, like, crying. Think about also, Chimplim, thank you so much for joining the brigade. How you doing? It is an absolute pleasure to have you here. So you can understand how expensive VTubing can be for a streamer to get into. How absolutely awful the prices can be. And it's such a sensitive subject for VTubers because they don't like talking about it because they don't want to talk about numbers. They don't want to talk about the cost of it. And it's absolutely terrifying to think about all this stuff. The numbers are scary. It really